on to letting go. I didn't come this far to sink so low. I'm finally holding on to letting go. I'm just weathering a rough patch, another villain with an itch to scratch. Denial is the darkest when you live in a hole. Why does the hell make you feel so cold? Make a move and you pay for it. Pick a lord and you pray to it. You're so demanding when you want the truth, but your stories don't read for me. Oh, I'll never kill myself to save my soul. Oh, I was gone, but how was I to know? Oh, I didn't come this far to sink so low. Oh, I'm finally holding on to letting go. Indecision overload, keep a buckle on the devil and your eyes on the road. Reaching out for the hand of God, but did you think you'd shake your own? This killing field is all grown over. The motherfucker wants it wild. Go sow your roads in alphabetical order. The anti-antagonist is back in style. Myopic cannot see straight. Dystopic once in too late. You gotta lie if you wanna believe, but your Bibles don't work on me. Oh, I'll never kill myself to save my soul. Oh, I was gone, but how was I to know? This far to sink so low. Oh, I'm finally holding on to letting go. Did you think you could win and fill me in? Did you think you could do it again? I'm not your sin. I was all that you wanted and more, but you didn't want me. I was more than you thought I could be, so I'm setting you free, I'm setting you free. You've killed the saint in me, how dare you martyr me? You've killed the saint in me. Oh, I'll never kill myself to save my soul. Oh, I was gone, but how was I to know? Oh, I didn't come this far to sink so low. Oh, I'm finally holding on to letting go. You've killed the saint in me, how dare you martyr me? You've killed the saint in me, how dare you martyr me? Moving to the country, I'm gonna eat a lot of peaches. I'm moving to the country, I'm gonna eat a lot of peaches. I'm moving to the country, I'm gonna eat a lot of peaches. Moving to the country, I'm gonna eat a lot of peaches. Peaches come from a can, they were put there by a man in a factory downtown. If I had my little way, I'd eat peaches every day. Sun soaking bulges in the shade. Moving to the country, I'm gonna eat a lot of peaches. Moving to the country, I'm gonna eat a lot of peaches. I'm moving to the country, gonna eat a lot of peaches. I'm moving to the country, gonna eat a lot of peaches. I took a little nap where the roots all twist, squished a rotten peach in my fist, and dreamed about you, woman. I poked my finger down the side, make a little room for an ant to hide. Nature's candy in my hand, a can or a pie. Millions of peaches, peaches for me. Millions of peaches, peaches for free. Millions of peaches, peaches for me. Millions of peaches, peaches for free. Look out! Peaches for me, millions of peaches, peaches for free. Millions of peaches, peaches for me. Millions of peaches, peaches for free. peaches for me. Millions of peaches, peaches for free. Millions of peaches, peaches for me. Millions of peaches, peaches for free. Look out! It's 9 o'clock on a Saturday. The regular crowd shuffles in. There's an old man sitting next to me, making love to his tonic and gin. He says, son, can you play me a memory? I'm not really sure how it goes, but it's sad and it's sweet, and I knew it complete when I wore a younger man's clothes. La, la la dee dee da, la la dee da da dum. Sing us a song, you're the piano man. Sing us a song tonight. Well, we're all in the mood for a melody, and you got us feeling alright. Now John at the bar is a friend of mine. He gets me my drinks for free, and he's quick with a joke or to light up your smoke, but there's some place that he'd rather be. He says, Bill, I believe this is killing me, as the smile ran away from his face. Well, I'm sure that I could be a movie star if I could get out of this place. Oh, la, la la dee dee da, la la dee da da dum. Now Paul's a real estate novelist who never had time for a wife, and he's talking with Davey, who's still in the Navy and probably will be for life. And the waitress is practicing politics as the businessman slowly gets stoned. It's the sharing a drink they call loneliness, but it's better than drinking alone. Sing us a song, you're the piano man. Sing us a song tonight. Well, we're all in the mood for a melody, and you got us feeling alright. It's a pretty good crowd for a Saturday, and the manager gives me a smile, 'cause he knows that it's me they've been coming to see, to forget about life for a while. And the piano, it sounds like a carnival, and the microphone smells like a beer. And they sit at the bar and put bread in my jar and say, man, what are you doing here? Oh, oh, la, la la dee dee da, la la dee da da da. Sing us a song, you're the piano man. Sing us a song tonight. Well, we're all in the mood for a melody, and you got us feeling alright.
Welcome, my friends, to XboxEra. If you're new here, let me fill you in. XboxEra is a platform for the Xbox community with best-in-class forums, a kick-ass Discord server, and of course, XboxEra.com, your destination for the best news, reviews, and features, all focused on your favourite platform, Xbox. It's every Xbox fan's gateway to the best of XboxEra. Our incredible podcasts listened to in over 50 countries worldwide, our in-depth reviews, our own merch store for the coolest in gaming threads, and of course Day One, where you can track, rate and discuss your favourite games on Xbox Game Pass. We're a small, agile and independent publication, and importantly, we're completely funded by you. If you value having a publication truly focused on your preferred place to play, you can become one of the cool kids by supporting us directly via Patreon. Just head to patreon.com/XboxEra. You get cool swag and awesome perks, and we get to keep doing what we do. Become a part of the best Xbox community on the internet and help us grow even larger. Thank you for your support. Everything XboxEra does is only made possible by our community and the growing army of incredible Patreon supporters. Our executive producers and MVPs are an amazingly generous bunch, only shown up by the incredible support of our grand benefactors, Cryat56 and Assassin Entertainment. All of this under the watchful eye of our lovely XboxEra CEO, Torn Raptor. This community is the best one on the internet, and we'd love for you to be a part of it. Just head to patreon.com/XboxEra and pledge your support.
Hello and welcome to the 251st episode of the Xbox Era podcast. You'll notice right away that these are not the usual suspects during this weekly podcast. I'm subbing in for the lovely John Mechanico, and not joined as usual is, of course, the amazing K Asante. How's it going, man?
Hi. So that would make me. Would that make me? No, I'm not Nick. I don't do that. That's not
Someone
cool,
has to
man.
Someone
You're
has to.
handsome, Nick.
Now I have to be like super egotistical and go. Yeah.
How many leaks can you point to that you just take credit for, no matter whether they were actually a leak or not?
Baker's dozen.
Yeah. That does seem to be his game, isn't it? Are we gonna slander the man when he's not here?
We slander him when he's here. Yeah.
That's the best time to slander him. He's here. He's going to be in the chat soon enough. So is John, I'm sure. But we're here to discuss the latest in gaming from across the industry, and this week we'll have a lot of cross-industry talk. But of course, we're focused on our favorite platform, or your favorite platform, Xbox. XboxEra is, of course, an independent, community-driven publication, and all made possible by our wonderful community, especially our patrons. Big shout out to all our MVPs, executive producers, but especially a big shout out to the grand benefactors, Croat56 and Assassin. And of course, our wonderful CEO, Torn Raptor. Dang, my fob's coming out a little bit. But as usual, we'll start the show off with talking about what we've played. Mine's kind of boring because I'm actually not home. I am 11 hours south of where I am. I'm in Memphis, Tennessee right now. And man, I brought the cold with me for sure. It's snowing outside here, dude.
Well, we're both in Florida, and it's extremely cold for this time of year down here. It's nice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right as I'm leaving, it's warming up again, but that's that. So let's start off with UK. What have you been playing this last week?
So viewers of my show will know I cheat. You will have cheated, and I already seen this before, and I will say two things: the one big thing, one small thing, and I've been loving both in equal measure. I have been playing the big thing that everybody else is playing, which the beast that is Jesse also dropped his review of, as he always does, and that is Avowed. Like, I love Avowed. I played the hell out of Avowed. I love Avowed, and I'm still playing Avowed. The small thing that I love that most people may have played or not, I was also talking about, is Lonely Mountain Snow Riders. Have you played this?
Yeah.
Love that game. Like, it is my amuse-bouche. It is my palate cleanser between next game I play. And I always have like multiple games in rotation, so I always have one small game that kind of palate cleanses between others. I find myself playing that game far more than I should be. But yes, I'm loving both games. It's pretty playing a lot of that this week.
Yeah, what's it called? Snow. Also, I think I should be louder now. I moved the mic closer. I increased the volume. It might echo a little bit, though. I think I'm echoing, right?
A little bit, tiny bit. Probably because of the room.
It's a pretty small room. The window's open, but there's like nothing on the walls or anything. So it's like, but I got a plan, so I'm gonna go off that. What about you, Jesse? What have you been playing?
Okay, I had to get my Elgato link to actually turn its filters back on, so if it was a little noisy earlier, that's why. Without that software, this microphone picks up everything in the 3-mile vicinity. We played some more Avowed on Hangouts earlier this week, and boy, that game is still a hell of a lot of fun. Like, even having gone through it 2.5 times, starting it a third time, and just being a dick, because I'm normally not that into being an asshole in these games. I just said, screw it, I will try. And you really can be. You can just full on side with the bad guys and all that type of stuff. There's lots of choices and huge consequences on stuff. Obviously, no spoilers, just know your choices matter, and they're not always telegraphed. Like, you will just be having conversations with things, and they will alter the way the end of the game is, plays
Especially
out and
your
stuff.
companions, right? Like the slightest change is what you say to them.
It's It's another. I do think we have to get used to it. If a game is not multiplat at launch, you just have to be used to, especially if anything comes up around the DEI woke shit. You've got to be ready for people to just endlessly shit on the game who have not played it at all. So I know people are like surprised. Oh, people are shitting all over Avowed. Why? It's so good now that I'm playing it. And it's like, well, they didn't play it and they don't care. They just want to make you upset and hurt the people that made the game. So.
Especially when they go and start comparing it to the other game they're still playing, which I've played. It's a good game.
Yeah, it's not my favorite type of review, especially like when it's, well, I really wanted it to be this way. It's like, I get that. And it could be like, it's just not for me because it's not this way. Like Baldur's Gate 3 is amazing in so many ways, but it's not for me as much because I don't have the patience or the time for that type of game in my spare time.
And the combat sucks.
Yeah, I just, the sitting around and waiting an incredibly long time for every turn gets really boring. It's something I'm worried about. And like, I think it gets solved, hopefully, once we get to play Clair Obscur, because you have to actually do stuff during defense instead of just sitting there and waiting for up to a minute to 2 minutes by the time you start getting pretty deep in.
Yeah, that's always been an issue with some of these old turn-based games. I was replaying Final Fantasy VII, well, actually playing for the first time the original, and without like the 2x, 3x speed button,
it's dog slow, right? It's
way too slow
now by today's standards.
Back in the day, you got all the time in the world. You can take whatever time you need, right? Your save is 30 minutes ago and you die, not a big deal, right? You can just play again. What I've been playing, I'm actually kind of jealous of everyone playing Avowed right now because I can't.
You got to catch up.
Because I am 10 hours into Path of Exile 2 Deadfire.
Pillars of Eternity 2. God damn it.
Pillars of Eternity. God
you
damn
motherfucker.
Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire. I just beat the first game like a week ago. And I'm actually doing all this.
And it is how big of a glow up is 2.
Oh,
yeah,
so
it's
much.
Incredible.
So much.
That's the first one, right? Yeah.
Yep. Because the first one's great, but it does not hold up.
Yeah.
Like you feel the age way more than you do with 2.
And also, it's a direct sequel, which I did not know. In fact, I was planning on just playing Pillars of Eternity 1, jumping to Avowed, but like it takes place like a couple years after, same exact character, a lot of the same companions, a new location for story reasons. But like, what's kind of annoying is on Xbox, the save doesn't import automatically, but they have a pretty good like, what did you do, what choice did you make system, which worked fine, well enough. But yeah, I'm playing Pillars of Eternity 2 on my ROG Ally, which is what I'm currently doing this whole, what I'm currently, doing the podcast on. When you're doing cloud, when you're doing cloud gaming, the battery lasts a while.
That was the Logitech. Did you have the G Cloud, Kay?
I didn't. Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I
you
do.
got it. Yeah,
I have the G Cloud right here.
You can get like 20 hours out of that thing with the right settings.
Yeah, well, 20 hours. That's crazy. Holy crap.
It's because it's not doing local compute. It's just a screen and Wi-Fi chip really pushing. But that thing's amazing. Like it got shit on endlessly.
Ergonomics in the screen.
People are always mad it didn't get cheaper, but it's like I'm pretty sure they were selling it not that far off of cost. So much like the PlayStation Portal, that's not going to get cheaper either because it's going to have a really nice screen and controller in it. So it's not cheap.
Yeah. I am using the Edge browser, not the app, and I'm using Better xCloud, and it makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Like in visual quality and latency.
Well, you can
like
push the megabit like up to 40 almost. Like you can get way better.
Yeah. And the game is incredible. Pillars of Eternity 2, like the writing is fantastic, the connections are great, and like Jesse said, like this is an Obsidian thing. You can be an evil mofo in these games. Like straight up, just talking to some guy, helping him out the ending. You're just like, yeah, I just want to kill you if I want to. Like, I don't care if any of this.
Yeah, it's more streamlined in Avowed. Like Avowed is way bigger. Fidelity, and so essentially what you're doing, it is more streamlined, but it's still there. Like it's not as much because obviously CRPGs, especially when not every line is voiced, makes a big difference. But it is still there in Avowed, but Avowed is super streamlined because like these are deep. These two, the Pillars games are deep. Avowed tickles that deepness without diving all the way in.
Also, you're straight up a pirate. This is a pirate game. Like you got a ship, you're running around, attacking people, looting them. Like it's not what I expected at all coming into it. Highly recommended. Anyone interested? In fact, I know some people that are playing both games together, and they're like, we're reading books in Avowed that talk about the events that happen in Pillars 2. And it's like kind of like knowing what's going to happen and playing it. Either way, I could go on about that for a while. Have not been playing anything else. Literally just that.
Yeah, the other main thing I played, and you get to see it if you are a fan tier or above patron, is I dove into one of the better games ever made. As we did a retro Hangouts live stream, myself and John, of Half-Life 2, which just holds up unbelievably well, especially with the version that you get now, with the full-on 20th anniversary update that they did. Yeah, so I wasn't running all the bells and whistles, so I can get close to it now. Heck, I was able to do even medium path tracing in Indiana Jones and get 65 FPS on an AMD card, so it's not bad. Because they finally put the frame gen on it in there.
As someone who's never played Half-Life 2 or Half-Life 1, what's the pitch for like playing it today? You know,
it's all the best parts of modern first-person shooters that like really were refined here.
Yes, historical reference point.
Yeah.
So like literally see where everything you're used to comes from,
especially physics. Like everything physics based in a lot of modern games was just made up.
Half-Life 2's
a core pillar of the gameplay.
Or was that just Gary's mod, or is that just Half-Life 2 stuff put inside a mod that you play?
No, I was talking, so I didn't hear it.
Sorry, I'm saying Half-Life 2 is where like the gravity comes from, right?
Yes.
Like,
yep.
Gravity gun. Yeah. Yes. It's all about physics in Half-Life 2.
Yeah,
but like, does the story still hold up? Like the writing and everything?
Yeah, no, it's fine. Like, it's just a lot of local people from the studio doing voice work. They've got a couple of celebrities in there. Like, was it Ben Vereen? Is Eli Vance? It's somebody was Eli Vance. I cannot remember who it was. But
if you don't want to play Half-Life 1 because it's too long in the tooth,
don't. You don't have to.
All that. Play Black
Robert
Mesa.
Guillaume. Jesus Christ, that's his name. Cannot remember.
That's the Black Mesa is it's Black Mesa is the fan-made project. Like sanctioned the Valve Arcade, and it was allowed to release. They changed teeny tiny bits on the edge, but by and large, it's a remake of Half-Life 1, and it's pretty damn good.
Yep.
Okay.
And then you move on to Half-Life 2.
Yeah, they're direct sequels, right? Like you play as Gordon in both of them?
Yeah. It takes place after 1, but it's not like directly after 1. Time has passed. Gordon's kind of disappeared for a while. Then he just shows up out of nowhere. There's this the freaking Gary mod face guy, you'll know, G-Man. You can see the Skibbity toilet face guy at some point in it because he's just yoinked. It's just he just yoinked it out of source. Like it's just a source model. But yeah, no, Half-Life 2 really holds up. It's almost always on sale if you don't own it.
I own it.
Yeah, like everyone owns it. They gave it away for free with the 20th anniversary, I think. So, and that version's got the DLC, which are both very good.
And I imagine you'd recommend playing Half-Life 2 before Half-Life Alyx, right?
Yeah, it definitely, because Half-Life Alyx is about retconning Half-Life 2. It's second DLC, essentially.
Oh.
Yeah, it's really about that. Half-Life Black Mesa, Half-Life 2, both of the DLCs. Then there's Half-Life Alyx, and there's even, if you want, you can play Half-Life 2 in VR. There's just a mod that all you do is install Half-Life 2. All you do is install the mod, and it works almost perfectly. And even with Half-Life Alyx, there is a fan mod called Levitation that is a direct sequel to Half-Life Alyx that fans made. That is way better than it has any right to be. And again, it's just a workshop mod. You just immediately can play it after installing it. It's there's a lot of Half-Life you can play on PC for very cheap. Alyx goes down to like $30 because that is still the showpiece. There's nothing better in VR overall. Like overall gameplay, story quality wise, it's still the top until they do something else. Because Meta spent $100 billion on VR for the world's worst metaverse bullshit that looks way worse than even something like Second Life or VR chat. Like it looks so bad.
I would fight you on Lone Echo, but okay.
Oh no, there are things, but like the overall, this is a big single player AAA VR game. There's nothing, even Batman's not close because it's limited by the Quest's hardware. It still looks as good as you can imagine for a Quest, but it's a mobile game.
Lone Echo, because Lone Echo 1 is a full-on like if you're not crying by the end, you're not alive.
It's close.
Yeah, but no, I agree with you. Half-Life 2 it's worth the ticket price.
It's one of the. I don't really get into older games that much, and this one holds up about as well as they can. It is
I mean, I have
amazing.
no problems playing older games. Last
Yeah.
year, I literally played all 3 Dragon Age games, and then not the latest because I didn't get it in time and things got busy. But like, I have no problems playing older games. I think I'm playing Path of Exile 1 like for the first time.
Mm.
Also, that might not be an older game, but it looks like one and plays like one, so it counts. All right, moving on. We have, before we get into the news of the week, we have 3 reviews, right, that we released to the channel this week. First up,
Oh yeah, the other thing I
is
did talk about.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, because first off, Jesse, what did you play this week that you didn't like as much? Let's say.
I played and reviewed PGA Tour 2K25, which is out on the 28th unless you spend $100. And so all the people who have spent at least that, if not 120, because that is the version they actually sent me. I think the Legendary Edition, which is $120, and it just gives you a bunch of V coins, which you can use to immediately make your friggin' player character 10 points better than anyone else right off the bat. I don't think it's a very good looking game, and yet I have people telling me it's gorgeous. It plays okay. Like, it plays fine. It starts off pretty arcadey, and you can make it harder, and then you have to actually pay attention to the wind, and because otherwise it'll just say, go here, and you will hit it exactly where you want. And then the putting you really have to worry about. It's fine. Like, there's nothing bad about it. I gave it a 6.5, which people take as like the biggest insult ever, when the series has been like low 70s with 2K21 and 2K23 and the golf club before it from these devs. Like, if you're really looking for a golf game and you don't like EA's version, it's fine. It's pretty expensive overall.
Yeah, and it was pretty buggy for you too, right?
It crashed at least 50 times for me. They have patched it since early access launch, but it was crashing for a lot of people. Jason Finelli also reviewed it on Xbox. He said he had like 30 crashes. It has 11 golfers total in it. That's it, just 11. Because golf's in a weird spot between the PGA and the Live Tour, and like their will they, won't they dance of merging. And I know it's all a mess. Doesn't have the Masters, but it does have other majors. You can play as Shooter McGavin from Happy Gilmore. It's just Christopher McDonald, the actor. And you have to, if you want the game to not look like a mobile game, you have to play in 30 FPS quality mode, which is crazy. But it's Unity, so it's not that crazy because it's Unity. But yeah, it's a kind of a whatever game that's just a little too expensive for my taste. So, but others have liked it quite a bit. It is much like Topspin 2K25, which both Nick and I hated. Really did not like that game, and that game was in the low 80s or mid 80s. I was like, all right, I gave it a 5.
Maybe
and
people are just like more lenient for sports games. Like, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I don't know. Normally not, but with the 2K ones, they seem to be. The 2K sports games outside of NBA, because it's been around for so long, they've been reviewing a lot better lately. I did like WWE 2K24, and I do not pay attention to wrestling. That was a fun fighting arcade game. Like, it was good. It was less simulation-y than they had been in the past. So I don't know, but there's also more on the site. Not from me.
There is a couple other things. One tangibly related to you could say, was we got a review or an in-progress review of Rage. Was it only? Not Bloom, right?
So they did end up splitting it up on the thing. So you can just call it a review for Lost Records, Bloom and Rage's Tape 1, Bloom. Because Tape 2 Rage doesn't come out till April, but they did split it up.
Thumbnail, right, for that then?
I don't. No one cares.
Okay, fair enough. But it's a game made by the
Don't Nod.
Yep. Don't Nod. Yes. Okay. All right. And we liked it.
Yeah, she loved it. It's reviewing pretty well overall.
Yeah.
I believe my wife gave it Amanda. She reviewed this one and did the voiceover. I did the video for her. She gave it an 8.5. She really liked it. She loved Life is Strange 1. She liked Before the Storm. And she hasn't played the other ones yet. So, but yeah, because it's a incredibly 90s nostalgic game where you're in the present day. It's about our time, but then you hop back 25 years into the 90s in upstate Michigan, I believe. And you're just a group of friends, normal looking people, not supermodels or anything. And there's just stuff that happens and you got to make choices. And it's one of those, and it's a good one though. It's extremely good looking. When you're playing it natively and you're looking at it, it's like, it's super clean in a way that a lot of games aren't anymore, because they're always pushing super high everything else, and so the resolution has to be restructured, and it suffers for it. And this game is just really nice looking. We did review it on PC because the Xbox code wasn't in time, but it seems fine on consoles as well.
Yeah, a game like this, I imagine, it shouldn't be too different, right? Between
You never know,
platforms.
but yeah.
So what's the gameplay elements look like?
It's mostly, I pulled away, but it's mostly using your camera to get memoirs. So she had a video camera, 90s handycam. And a lot of time you're filming, you can then like chop up a video for one section. And most of it is you're going around areas light. I don't even know if there were puzzles. There were like very light puzzles and a lot of camera work. So, and really cool effects to make it look like a older style camera.
And as I prophesized, we do have Nick in the chat saying, "Hey guys, hey Nick, part-timer."
And there was one gameplay thing she really liked where you get to set a beat. Like it has you a little mini game of making a looping beat, and then that becomes the backing track for something later in the game, which is pretty cool.
That's cool. That's actually super cool.
Yeah.
And the last thing that we released for the site is a review for Pirate Yakuza.
Like a Dragon, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii.
Like a Dragon, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii.
It's a mouthful.
Edited the.
It's still a mouthful.
Yeah. Genghis, who reviewed it for us, really liked it. Had a great time. So it's not too long of a game. Like the combat variety. Honestly, I edited the video, and man, that game looks insane.
You have your old ass editing logo and stuff.
Yeah, I know. It's because I don't have the new one for him narrating, and
it's just an online Adobe thing. You can make whatever you want.
I know. I should have done it. I was in a bit of a rush. Okay.
You in a rush? Around a review? I don't believe it.
Fair enough. I'll make a bunch of downloads. But yeah, he liked it a lot. It looks like a fun game. Looks like a nice change of pace from the usual stuff because it's not all in the same town, which is nice.
And it's back to being a beat 'em up instead of being turn based.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. But there are a million Yakuza games. That's one series I doubt I will ever catch up.
If you're Ichiban, it's turn based because he sees the world in Dragon Quest. That's like their in-universe explanation for it. But Majima and Kiryu, and this is the first Majima one. All the other offshoots have been Kiryu. With Majima in Yakuza 0 are beat 'em ups.
Yeah.
Those games are the one piece of the gaming world. If you know, you know. There's
oh god,
too high of a hill to climb for me.
One Piece is catchable though. I actually rewatched One Piece like a couple years ago, and it was doable. I did it. I caught up.
You did all 11 or 1,300 episodes, or did you do select?
I did all of them, but I did a fan edit, which reduces all the filler between the episodes.
So you didn't do all of them. Doesn't count.
Fair enough. All right.
Fine. How about we'll move on from that analogy? How about Doctor Who? How about that one?
Oh yeah, okay, fair enough. That's fair.
You can't even watch all of it because like a good portion got lost.
That's crazy.
Yep, many of them are gone now.
They just didn't keep stuff back in the 50s and 60s. And they only got some back because they found somebody who had kept the local tapes in it was like Morocco. It was somewhere, I think, in Africa, and they just found the tapes for the second Doctor's episodes. They're like, oh shit.
So at least with Doctor Who, you can like just start off with the modern one, the 2007, I think. Right?
There is a new start off point. Yes, there is. Yes.
Yeah. That's what I did originally.
I was thinking that Like a Dragon, which itself is really weird because Yakuza means like a dragon and then like a dragon, but like a dragon, the one with where they started off they start off with English voice dub for the first. I was hoping that could be a starting off point, which I guess it kind of is.
Well, they used to have really bad English voice dubs with Mark Hamill, funnily enough, as Majima, and it was not good. But I don't know how to say Ryo-Gu Gataka, like their studio name RGG. Is literally Like a Dragon. And so the games were never called Yakuza. They were always called Like a Dragon. And then they called them Yakuza outside of Japan.
But what was I going to say? They did the Resident Evil thing, right? Resident Evil 7, Biohazard, Resident Evil.
That's right, yeah.
But the issue with, I thought the same thing, right? Number 8, new character, new location, should be a good starting off point. But yet, even then, it still continues the stories of the previous people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you have to have a lot of prehistory with a lot
7
of
games worth.
Yeah, well, because 7 is the start of Ichiban, so it's probably the best modern point. But then Kiryu and Majima show up, which everyone would know not by now with Kiryu because he was supposed to be gone. Yeah, 7, Yakuza Like a Dragon. 7, yeah. That is essentially the restart, but then they just immediately bring the 2 other main people back, and
they
it helps
also
to
have
know.
another game, Gaiden. Really
Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name, and then there's just they make a lot of stuff. They very smartly reuse assets and get a lot of games out. I think in the time that God, there was in like the last 3 or 4 years, I think they put out like, I don't know, 10 games or something. Like they put out, and they're working on Virtua Fighter 5 or 6, and they're they're
Project
Unbelievable Animation.
No, what was it called? Dang it!
I don't remember.
Project Zero. That game looked really interesting, and maybe I'll start off with that for my first really good go to the game. But yeah, that is everything that we've released. Now let's jump into the news. Before we go into the news pieces, do we want to touch on the fallout of our Phil interview? Just move on.
Boy. Awesome interview, by the way. Huge fan.
It was awesome.
It was great. It was fantastic, and I for one, I'm happy to see that there were some news nuggets that people didn't expect to see from you guys. It was awesome.
Yeah, like,
oh my God.
People did not get that he wasn't coming on for an interview. He was coming on to celebrate us getting to episode 250. Like he did celebrating to get to episode 100. He came on with the other guys at Gamertag Radio and with Destin to celebrate their 20th anniversary with Gamertag and Destin going independent. Like these weren't come in here and we're just going to start slamming you with questions like Stephen Totillo or Jason Schreier would for a specific news piece. Like it is a different thing.
It also came on right after a pretty successful show, which Xbox themselves, I'm sure, were very confident on, right?
Yeah, because we were originally going to interview him on the 15th, and then they said, hey, by the way, we want to delay this back to the 24th or whatever it ended up being. And we're like, you must be having a dev direct. We didn't say that to them, but we assumed. So it was Paris and Danny, us, Destin. Like he just did all those back to back, and we got almost 40 minutes. So
yeah, it was a really fun interview. Someone linked a clip, I think either the week before or a couple weeks before, and it was like the most heavy-handed hinting of this interview that no one caught. I don't think I even caught, where it's like, no one's asking Phil about Everwild. And he's never talking about State of Decay. Like,
yeah, we leaned really heavily into making fun of John for not getting Phil on when we knew he was going to be on for like 6 months. Yeah. He was going to be on for 200. We weren't going to be the first place before they did their business update. So that ended up getting delayed to this essentially for about a year.
Interview came out. The fallout in the usual internet circles is about as expected, to be honest, which is kind of rough because I hoped for more. I hoped for better. Maybe I just tried to see the best in people.
Because people just are looking for something to be mad about. But our philosophy behind it was we just want to have him on to hang out and talk about gaming, not to be like he never gets to do that. People don't get to see that side. And that's why I think ours was the most free-flowing, conversation that still had decent nuggets of interesting information. Like
I'm gonna close my blinds. I'll be right back.
But yeah, so we had Phil on. We got him to play Name a Game, which is pretty goddamn amazing. I'm very happy about that. I know that was Nick's big thing, and I did make it. It was a very easy, basic Name a Game, but obviously it's because we weren't sure how long we'd end up having, how long the segment would go. If John and Nick were really struggling to get them, and then John somehow messed up at the last one and actually lost because Nick had been winning damn near every Name a Game for a while. But yeah. I think the whole time we had Phil between Phil joining us on StreamYard and the thing ending and Phil leaving, it was over like 44 minutes. Like it was great. He's just in that situation. The few times I've now met him, he's just a nice guy. He just comes off that way, even though he's a corporate executive, which has to be a certain type of person. I could never do what they do because I wouldn't want to.
I met him for half a second at Worlds last year of the Halo. I just shook his hand. I'm like, hey, congratulations, because they just announced Halo Studios. He looks at my shirt. He's like, nice shirt. It was the You Had Me at Halo shirt. It's super faded, too, so I'm surprised you could even read it. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, it was a really fun interview because I don't think it was we're just going to pepper you with questions. And also with there being 3 of us, I think it was pretty hard to not step over each other a bunch.
Yeah,
that's why
the balance is really well done.
Yeah, so it's John, you're going to lead it. Nick, you're going to do most of the follow-ups, and then I'll jump in if I really have something that I think. And so I tried to get that question across. And yes, it's not hey, Phil, people don't believe that you're going to have new hardware. What do you have to say about that? It was people have issues and they're worried about the future of their things. And you have to like find the roundabout way to ask a more philosophical question and not a direct answer this man who can control $1 trillion company's stock price. Like you just can't be super direct all the time. The situation didn't allow for it. Like it wasn't what we wanted. We didn't ask him, hey, come on, we're going to interview. Like, and if we ever had him on again, the best way, like the most fun way would just be, hey, just come on the live podcast. We'll really restrict the hell out of chat so people aren't shitheads. Maybe it'll be member only or something, but
just stay on for an hour.
Just hang out and we'll do a quickly, we'll just go through and we can talk about the news of the day and stuff. And because he doesn't get to do that.
Those are the best guest episodes.
Yeah.
Like when you guys had Gavin on and like we get 100%. Or like when you have some industry members on and you're just talking about news and then they're suddenly like, I don't know, drunk or something and spelling everything. But
or they just don't give a shit sometimes.
Exactly. Also, if one of our patrons wants to ask a question about his food, he's gonna ask a question about the food. All right, guys. Like,
it was just like we made it very clear. Like when I was putting up the post, it was very much, hey, we're gonna try and get Phil on. We already knew we were having him on, but I was just like, we're trying to get Phil on. Do you have any like basic little questions? Because those are the only ones that they were like, hey, can you just let us know? Because obviously it's not, they know and trust us and actually did not ask us anything that we were going to ask him. Like it was just a completely open thing because we earned their trust by not being dickheads. So,
Okay. Moving on, still Xbox related. And this was an interesting news piece because it also ruffled some feathers, mostly by people who didn't read the news piece. But I'll read the headline first and I'll kind of go through my understanding of it, which is empowering creators and players with Muse, a generative AI model for gameplay. Generative AI for gameplay? Oh my God, what is Microsoft doing? How could you do this? In actuality, what this Muse is it's a tool that generates videos of gameplay based on various models that they feed them. In this specific case, this testing case was with Ninja Theory's Bleeding Edge. Yeah, still exists, by the way. Also, still playable. Didn't know that. It's not dead.
Yeah, they don't take down servers very quickly.
Yeah, exactly. But essentially what it does and why people are excited about it, because it's super early. This is super early. It's like the first model of OpenAI or something. Like it's very early. But they'll feed them models of gameplay, in this case Bleeding Edge, and they'll be able to render videos of what they want it to. And what was really cool was the videos will also interact with button inputs. Now you're probably wondering, what difference does this make? Well, it looked like the main function of it, at least for the near future, because I actually don't really fully buy the whole game preservation aspect. Not
no,
anyways.
There was a lot of pie in the sky shareholder talk mixed into something they tried to push to the public when the public's just not going to ever care.
Exactly, but where it is useful is in the ideation process, right? Where you're trying to pitch your game to publishers and whatnot, and rather than having to make a full-on vertical slice or a prototype, which is very time consuming and is not often, or actually is never indicative of your final result, right? But if you can make something using a model like this to show, hey, this is what we want our game to be, our final game to be, something like this, and look, and this button will do this button will do that, the UI will look kind of like this. It streamlines a lot of that process. And in general is a tool. One thing they were consistently, in fact, there's multiple things you can read. The article on Xbox Wire, which is really well done. There's an interview on The Verge, also really well done. And I think Eurogamer just recently released something which, even though it is kind of like, they're just spouting BS when it comes to the game preservation aspect, it still does go through that this is not going to ruin gaming or anything. It's a tool utilized to make things easier for certain people.
Yeah. Now, I will say, I do appreciate and understand those who have concern.
Yeah.
Because and you laid it out very well, and I think I read and watched all the
Yeah.
material on it as well.
Yeah.
Their first piece of content to show was so minuscule it wasn't even worth talking about, and
Yeah.
now it's still small and still a little bit janky, but it's a
Yeah.
lot more viable now, right? So let there be no doubt that in short order, give it year, 2 years, 3
Yeah.
years,
Yeah.
it's
Mhm.
going to be 720p, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
then
In the thing, they're
then it's
talking about it going from like
gonna feel it.
150 to
That's right.
360.
That's right. It like the fear isn't the tool. The tool is great and it looks
Yeah.
excellent, and I'm excited to see it used. And I have a technological question that I've been asking that maybe we'll get into here. Maybe you guys give me
Yeah.
your thoughts on
Yeah.
that as well. But the fear that I do understand is greedy gonna be greedy, right? And
Yes.
there's no
100%.
regulatory,
Mhm.
Yeah.
there's no framework around
Mhm.
that guides those worser angels of our nature to be like,
Yep.
oh, this thing can do all this stuff and we don't need these people.
Yeah, and
Like we
ultimately,
don't need
talk is talk, right? Like they'll say, "Oh, we're giving it in the hands of creators only," and they're going to be there the entire step of the process, which sounds great, right?
exactly. Yes, yes, yes.
But is it going to
It's
be
a
the
scary
case?
thing.
Yeah,
In my world, in the world I work, I
yeah,
will tell you, AI has directly affected us.
yeah,
Right? I hire people, I manage teams. AI has directly affected the resources that I use to get my job done
yeah.
because it's just the nature of the beast, unfortunately, right?
And the cat's out of the bag, right? You're not putting
Yeah,
that back
and
in.
the cats exactly. The tube of
Yeah.
toothpaste is all over the floor, right?
Yes.
You can't put it back in, right? I have kids. I'm sorry. Um, but here's my technological question that I want you guys to help me answer
Yeah.
because I know you watch this as well, right? And we were talking about this on my show as well, which I find super interesting, and I have not been able to find anyone to really like crystallize it in my head because all they showed you was the very consumer splashy stuff, right? And as I recall correctly, what they said was they built this model by feeding it a lot of bleeding edge
Yeah.
Pretty much
video and
all of it.
control input data.
Yeah, like all
Yeah.
the
Right?
data of public matches.
Yes, it's bleeding edge video
Yeah.
and input data, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
What we know as games is an amalgamation of code that has been attached to art that
Hmm.
then looks like a game, right?
Yes.
We see the byproduct of what a game actually is. The
Yeah.
see the actually the code, right?
Like we see the
What they are
output, not
showing
the.
you,
Mhm.
Yeah.
not the
Yeah.
exactly
Yeah.
what they are showing the computer, what they are training the algorithm on is only the byproduct
Yes.
and the input, right?
Yeah.
So if this is what you're training them on and it's getting better and better and better and better and better, what's behind it? This is literally the idea of this is like forever and a day, code has created games. This is a
Yes.
world where there's just no code. There's just rendered game. What's behind it? What is making those things move? What code? What is
Unbelievably
manipulating the art?
expensive.
And energy intensive.
Yeah, unbelievably
Calculation.
expensive LLMs just
Mhm.
constantly
Yes.
going. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that's my point, right? Like it makes it changes the paradigm to the point where like it makes it very impossible.
See, that's the what you're
Drop.
saying here is why I don't think generative gameplay will ever be this gigantic
Mhm.
thing.
And they,
Because, like, really quick, like what we know of games, right? Games
excuse
are
me.
precise. RNG
Mhm.
is a specific thing you code in. When you play Halo, the physics
Yes.
are what they are.
Yes.
They're not. They don't
Yes.
change at the whim of a friggin' button input, right?
Sure. Yes.
So when it comes to like this generative video footage, what's interesting is someone's like, it's not making games, it's making videos. Yeah, well, technically the end product of whatever we play, like you're saying, is just a video that's
Yeah.
reacting to our
It's
input,
a video
right?
that's reacting to your, but it's
Yeah.
reacting to your input, right?
Yes.
And the key is we've spent years of our lives honing the process to
Yeah.
get a control that you press B or you
Yes.
press A on a controller and then it moves. This thing
Yeah.
goes, oh, you want it to move when I do that? Okay, it's done.
Yeah.
And all that
Yeah.
back stuff went yada 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 and it's gone.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild. What
It is. It is
happening
pretty
on the
crazy.
screen.
Though at the same time, it's I've been sorry, I'm at my brother's place, so there will be kids running around here and there. But
Mhm.
I've been checking, messing with Unreal 5 just a little bit, And
Yeah,
let me know
yeah,
fact. You open up
I
the
have one as
engine,
well. Yeah,
you press one button, and boom, you have a third-person game. You have a first-person shooter
yeah,
game,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
There's
yeah.
no coding involved. And in fact, even if
Mhm.
you don't want to code, you open it up, you just do the trees, right?
Yes.
Which is its own aspect of coding, obviously, but it's not like you're coding in
Mhm.
C sharp. As in
Yeah.
fact, you can make an entire game without coding. So we're already kind of getting there
The
in
one
a sense
thing
of like,
where it's going to change, where it's going to fall apart, is it's way too expensive to run these things.
yes,
Like it's
yes,
unbelievably expensive, which is where everything's
Yep.
going to go back to local compute. Like it's just that's going to
yeah,
be the focus again, and cloud will be an offshoot of it because we will never have, even if you want to have all the negative latency and the great feeling of GeForce now, well, that has to be pretty close to your house. You only
yeah,
get to use it for a few hours a day unless you spend a ton of money, or
yeah.
you can build a mediocre PC that can run things just fine for 99% of people, and away you go for a lot cheaper.
Or you buy a raw or something like
Yeah,
that.
like there's just, it's going to be way too expensive for these things to ever be mass market. And I think right now we're still stuck in the point where they've got this little tool they think can help people ideate on ideas.
Yeah.
How can we get shareholders excited about it? We'll talk about ways that it's going to go to consumers, because right now we have almost nothing for consumers. Like there's
Yes.
really not the biggest,
Yeah.
best uses of large language models is to take out the mundane parts of coding. Like, I got to look up how to do this exactly again. And
That's not a consumer thing. That's
no,
still
there's not.
Yeah,
We get chatbots. Like that's the main thing we get. We get
Yeah.
smarter chatbots
Like,
that even then
my
hallucinate
usage-
nonstop.
I use ChatGPT often, but it's mostly like school stuff, which is not consumer based. That's also
Mhm.
professional corporate based. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you know what's interesting, Case?
We have
Like
a
imagine,
built-in one. Yeah,
imagine like
we
you're
use
doing
one in our work
yeah,
as well.
yeah. Imagine you're doing the ideation process, right? And you're like, you know what? I really like how this game does this aspect. Let me grab a video of this and throw it
Yeah.
in here and be like, hey, grab just this UI from this and put it in my game. And then you do that with other videos and other games. That obviously, at least according to Microsoft, you have the
Mhm.
legal right to access and train them on.
But also, then anyone can
right?
do that to you, because as far as it is now, anything AI generated is not copyrightable. Like you can't
Yes.
own it.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Very slippery slope. Very slippery slope. And
Mhm. Yeah.
this sounds callous, but whenever there's any kind of technological advancements, there is hurt in the labor market in terms of whoever
But
is.
you know what the issue is just you cannot trust. Like Microsoft has been at the forefront of saying we don't want generative AI that takes people's jobs. But in the long run, even them, it's already with everyone else. Like everyone looks at it. Oh, I can cut. Okay, we can do this. This is easier for people. I can now cut half of them because these two can do twice the work instead of needing 4 people. Like it's always, there's no reason to trust corporations, which is why people will hate it, especially because the main way it's been sold to us so far is generating art or sound or anything, the type of stuff that then it's all over Call of Duty. Like Black Ops 6 just has a ton of AI generated bullshit in it. And it might be, you generate and then a human has to touch it, but it might be less humans than it needed to be before, with someone making it and someone overseeing that and all that type of stuff. So there's just, especially with the current climate in America, there is no reason to think you should ever trust corporations with this. So people are going to push back extremely hard.
Yes. Yes, agreed. That being said, I feel like especially in school still, a lot of what people are talking about is we need to like learn how to leverage AI in our jobs. Oh my god. Give me 1 second. Yeah, I'll be right back. I need to point that.
No worries. Yes. No, but honestly, the thing that's really both exciting and kind of scary about all this stuff is what it looks like in 2 years, 2-3 years.
I got him. He's muted.
Oh, yeah, you got it. Yeah, good. Yeah, what it looks like in like 2-3 years, right? Because right now we're on the cusp of it. It's all early days. It's all whiz bang shiny stuff.
Mhm.
But it looks like in 2-3 years, like that's when potentially, if there is an issue, that's when you're going to start seeing it to come to fruition, because that's when it goes from this wonderful idea to potentially a workhorse that people will use. Right?
Yeah, because there are already good tools from it, but they're pretty limited and they're not sexy to shareholders, and especially in video games right now, and especially right after you've invested many tens of billions of dollars and shareholders finally actually look at the video game division, you want to have things to sell them on because they've invested so unbelievably heavy in OpenAI and AI in general.
when like China shows up and it's like, hey guys, yeah, you spent
It was-
$100 billion.
It
We
was
didn't.
they still spent a lot of
They
money.
still spent a lot, and they
Yeah,
used
they-
theirs too.
yeah.
But
yeah,
you know, it shows like it's still a battlefield.
Yeah.
It's still like this
oh, they used our
very-
work. It's like, well, yeah, because you don't own it. Because you look at Meta just downloaded terabytes of books to train their shit on. Like it's all theft.
Yeah. I was gonna say it's very nascent market still, especially in the gaming scene. That being said, I think basically saying like for example, we've had people in the industry going, I'm not gonna play any game that's had any kind of AI involved in it at all, right? Which is a stupid thing to say.
Good
It
luck with
is.
that. You're not gonna be playing.
You're not playing any new Sony Santa Monica games.
Straight up. I mean, it's a very stupid thing to say because AI, is, like we said earlier, cat's out of the bag, toothpaste out of the bottle.
Well,
turkey's cooked.
technically, if you say that and you will really want to be like militant about it, you will never play another Unreal Engine game again because that game that engine is riddled with AI all over.
Something that's different.
Even like Unreal 4, it's been riddled with AI.
Anyone that uses any Adobe product right now is riddled with AI. Oh, you used After Effects in your trailer. You use this in your your screenshots or something to generate an edge that you might have missed. Like it is impossible to avoid. It is also something to push back on. People just have to not spray with water. Like when you're on the right side, people tend to just go like full whole hog, no nuance at all. And then they get really mad at anyone who's not as angry as they are. And there's always this online feeling like, hey, I'm in this group that just hates this thing, so I'm going to make fun of it. Mm-hmm. And if you don't join in with me making fun of it and attacking it, then you're scum. And like that's where you end up losing the people who don't care as much, but they still might be with you.
You know what's interesting?
Make no doubt, though. Make no mistake, though. We are still the horseshoe makers. That's what we are here in this specific scenario. We are the horseshoe makers. Those who are like, oh, we can yell loud enough and this will go away. Good luck to you. I have a bridge to sell you, and it's called Brooklyn.
You need to learn how to make tires.
That makes sense. That's a good analogy. I've never heard that.
Well, it's like the people who are afraid of automation ruining their, taking their factory jobs away, and so you had to learn how the systems that were being made worked and repair them, like that type of thing.
Ultimately, online, right, will complain about things like bloat in video games. We'll complain about things like too much time between games. Back in the day, we had an entire trilogy of a series in the same generation, right? Which obviously a big part of that is abuse of workers, 100%.
And like the scope is so much smaller. Yeah. Like you go back to Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, you can see like those games would not, you could have those exact, if they didn't exist, you made those games today with say modern fidelity on the graphics, but the same level design and everything.
You want to copy paste in Mass Effect 1 is a lot.
Yeah, you could see, it was a brilliant use of that older tech, but it was just way less. Like one level in a game now can be as big as the entire DVD was for that old game. Like it's a very different industry now.
The push has to be for ethical usage of the technology, right? And like for example, the recent SAG Astra strikes, right? Mm-hmm. AI was the
still going. Hasn't ended.
Still going. Especially the video game one, I think is still.
Yeah, going. No, the video game one is the one that's still going, and that's why like yeah, and people don't talk about it, but it is still going.
Yeah. And someone in chat, we have a super chat from Raichi saying, first they said if AI is so good, big publishers wouldn't be necessary. AI is a tool. It'll be used
the way they talk about it.
It'll be used.
It's over talked. Like it has its uses. It does not have nearly as many uses as they keep telling shareholders it will. Yes. Like almost like NFT and Web3. Like they jump from thing to thing. Yeah.
When AI was first, or when generative AI first came out with like the visuals, everyone's like, "Oh my god, this is amazing!" And like there was this big tech bro thing where like everyone's profile image is an AI image of yourself now instead. Mm-hmm. Fast forward to today, and it's like that's kind of just like
it just looks like AI, and people don't want it.
And everyone knows what AI looks like immediately.
And it became a tool for scamming, like AI video, like the lady who gave $800,000 because she thought she was dating Brad Pitt, like that type of stuff. And they're not even good. Half of those are just bad Photoshops. Like AI is easy Photoshop essentially.
Mm-hmm.
The first mistake they made was calling it AI after you spent the entire 70s and 80s training people that AI was something that was going to come and kill you, and then you call it AI, which it's not really, but okay.
Yes.
Mistake, in my opinion.
Ragey Super Chat was Obsidian made multiple games this generation. They did.
Yeah.
And they also mentioned that Saber Interactive made 2 games. I'm not saying that a studio won't make multiple games. They do.
Mhm.
I'm saying the days of Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 coming out in the
Yeah,
same generation.
one team making
over.
those many games
Yeah.
back to back to back, 2 or 3 years in between. Because like Saber does it because they got a bunch of teams. Like
Yes.
Saber's huge. Like we have these. You're not having a 50-person team put out your biggest games on the average. Like sometimes a 1-person guy hits hard, but the big AAA bangers you think of might have 2,000-3,000 people on them across 30 devs
Literally.
if it's Call of Duty or
Like
yeah.
6 years. Yes. Depending. Yeah.
Yep. Also, I want to something people don't talk about enough when they talk about comparing games and studios specifically, and like, oh look, this studio made so and so for so little money. The studio spent 100 millions. Location and work culture make a big damn difference.
Yeah.
Studios in Poland, the salary for game developers in Poland is low. It's very low. There's a reason why more studios are going there, or more publishers are
Yeah, like
opening up,
Infinity Ward just opened up a studio there.
Yep.
And Kingdom
So when
Come
you say
Deliverance 2 is 50 million is like
Exactly.
Spider-Man's 200 million.
Exactly. Yeah, that is, you can't just ignore that. Like
Isn't that in the news today? Well, recent this week with Marvel Rivals bringing everything
Yes.
in house of China, cost savings measure and all that. It's a factor.
Yep. 100% is a
Horrible
factor.
factor, but a factor nonetheless. Yeah.
Also, a reason I mention culture is because I'm fairly certain that a lot of Japanese publishers and maybe just East Asia in general are still very much crunching their employees a lot, right? Like we used to talk about, man, how did From Software make so many great games, giant games alone? And it's like, yeah, they probably
It
crunch
is.
their employees a lot.
It's been talked about from people there that it is just more culturally accepted to work long hours. Now,
Yeah.
how long are you working long hours? Like the really bad culture of crunch around something like a BioShock or Grand Theft Auto or Red Dead 2, it was years. Like we've heard it about Midway and NetherRealms. Like it's just this years long thing, supposedly, of people just being at work all day, sleeping under their desk, waking up and working all day again, and only going home maybe one weekend. Like that's about it. That's the bad culture because everyone has a sprint at the end.
If you recall, one of the most famous crunch stories, which led to this day, one of my favorite games ever. We're talking about ODST, which took 6 months to turn around.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Nuts.
Absolutely crazy. I mean, heck, you can go to Halo 2 and like that documentary, man, people's marriages were lost because of like. And yeah, it's also not a thing of the past. My brother-in-law just recently moved to LA for work. And he's like, yeah, my work is like 7 to 7, 7 to 8. Like I have no free time at all. Like it's just my weekends are barely there.
Well,
like, this is.
There was an article about it we talked about in headlines a few weeks ago where a lot of the crunch culture just gets sold off to other areas of the world.
Yes, I watched that entire doc. It was a really well-made doc.
Yeah, like Southeast Asia and China and Japan. Because Southeast Asia doesn't cover all the way up there. In Korea.
Yeah.
Though it does in gaming, like they'll say SEA market for gaming, but it's not actually the geographical SEA market. So it always confuses the shit out of me.
And this is for all the games we play, like all the major games, all the studios that say, oh, hey, we removed crunch culture. We're all good now. You didn't remove it. You outsourced it.
Yep. Because there are still some who are really good at actually planning and figuring stuff out. But the biggest story constantly is the games are more and more expensive and harder, not because they look better or anything like that. The main reason is just really awful planning and management.
Yes, sorry, I'm laughing because Xbox Imagine Pass going, marriage means nothing if you're letting the covenant win. I agree. I agree.
Marriage is worth nothing if you're leading a marathon. Oh, I didn't put that news story in, but boy, that guy, he should not have ever, I don't know, maybe hasn't been proven in any court of law, but those text messages from the guy from Bungie who got fired, who was leading Marathon, do not look good in their current context.
No, but I think, Jesse, I think if we talk about that, it's console warring because Bungie's owned by Sony.
But Marathon's coming Xbox.
It is indeed. We have another super chat by Amish AI. Funny. Zapradol equals hard work in Poland. It's a common thing. Yeah. So Poland might be a mix of the two. Low salaries and crunch culture.
And there's plenty of low salaries and working nonstop in America. Like
yes, especially for these passion-focused industries, right?
Like or hard labor, all my context, really.
100%. All my context for me is automotive. I live in Windsor, Ontario, which is right next to Detroit. right? So my entire life has been people graduating, working in Detroit, working in the automotive industry. And people, they focus on the layoffs in video games, which are very much a thing, but it's not just a video
Mhm.
game thing. It's a tech centric,
Yeah,
and even,
everywhere.
yeah, like I literally remember 2009 or 11, my dad's telling me, like, he comes home and he's like, yeah, a friend of mine, they told him, hey, don't come in tomorrow. That's it. Contract workers, zero severance, zero push, nothing. And then he got the same thing like a month later. Like it's a very normal thing in so many different industries. It's why, like, when people bring up the video game aspect, and it is there and it does need to be talked about, it also kind of brings up this, like, it's not just this. This is a wider issue than just one industry.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's workers' rights in general are pretty terrible. But also, thank you to executive producer Korkenstein, who just gifted us 5 XboxEra YouTube memberships. Amargonaut,
Wow.
Raichi, Silent Cypher, Zach Riley, and Entertainment Landfill. Congratulations. You now have access to all of Sick and Flicks. They're all there in the, they should all be there in the community posts. You'll see members only posts that give you the links.
You became a member last week, right? Was it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, somebody, oh God, I feel bad. I don't remember. Somebody gifted a bunch of memberships and one went to my account.
Yeah.
Thank you, Korkenstein.
But moving on, so technically, what I want to talk about really quick, I have no idea if it's gaming related, I'll be honest. But did you guys see the weird quantum chip that Microsoft apparently developed after 17 years of research? I tried looking into it. I really don't know much about quantum computing and qubits and stuff like that.
They said they created a new state of matter.
Yeah.
What the hell does that mean?
Yeah. They were able to use the qubit technology to create a new state of matter that in and of itself allows them to create a processor that can
No Silent Cypher, that's what it was.
Hey.
Once
Hey,
again,
Asante got one.
Lou P, K Asante, Mac Classics, Shingy, and Frost Takei. Thank you for your new memberships. Thanks to Silent Cypher. Every little bit helps. It's rough. We are independent, so we don't have any big company behind us or anything. We're one of the few friggin' websites out there left like that. So every little bit helps, but also if you're just watching and you got YouTube Premium, especially, just watch our stuff, hit the like button. It all is a huge help for letting us continue.
Sorry, Asante, I cut you off. So what is it? Like,
so and this is heady theoretical stuff because no one's ever been able to do that, right? So the elevator pitch for it is the idea that the computing platforms that we have today, right? If you were to spin them up to exponential growth to see how powerful they would be.
You mean stuff like 64-bit like based computers and whatnot? Okay,
platforms we know, ARM and all that. To get them to levels where they are solving like fundamental human issues, like complicated, like takes a long time, and a lot of people,
there was that Canadian cancer thing they were trying to figure out that an AI model was able to figure out in 3 days.
Yes, it takes AI. It takes AI. Really, stuff like that's really good for them because it is repeatable tasks that they can train them on, right?
Yeah.
x86 processors, to get them to go where theoretically quantum computers could go would take like 100 years of exponential scaling. Because of the way that qubit technology, the ones and zeros, in x86, the way that they work, they are so sensitive to data manipulation that they are able to calculate and crunch those numbers like it is the comparison of a preschooler and an Ivy Leaguer who has multiple degrees in comparison. So in other words, and it's so sensitive that they've always ever been able to put a couple of hundred qubits in one place at one time to use for these calculations, and it works great. Only a few hundred. Microsoft's technology has been able to potentially put 1 million qubits in one processor. Right? If you want to exponentially scale it, now you'll get a motherboard or a way they use it at an enterprise level where it has multiple sockets, multiple chips. So you can do crazy, people flying stuff.
In the past, qubit technology was like kind of additive. Like it was kind of like, hey, we'll just put a little bit here for the calculations that could use it.
It is very difficult to cultivate because A, it's super expensive, and B, it's
Yes.
super sensitive, and it takes so much research to even get the smallest amount
Blah.
available to the use.
Oh my God.
Oh,
The CEO has come in, waving his big CEO stick. Congratulations to Web Dave, Crispy Bomb, Greg, Brandon Dice, Plant Hodge, Austin M, Monzi, Dexmac, Tense Games, Bod the Great, Elban Compantera, LeBurn 98, Jonas the Dad, Dragon Wolf, Clinton 9, Kill 9 for your
Kill 9, yeah.
gift. Oh, D Block Extreme. Be nice. It just keeps going. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
20's a lot, man.
20 gift sub bomb from the one and only XboxEra CEO, Torn Raptor.
All right, Torn.
Sleep well.
Have a good night, man.
My boss.
I guess we should talk about more boring tech stuff more often.
Hey, it is not boring, and it's very entertaining.
It is super interesting. I'm not gonna lie.
Yes.
But like, okay, so the real question is, do you think it might have an effect in gaming? Period.
Not anytime soon.
Okay.
Not anytime. Like, I hope it will in my lifetime.
Okay, that's fair.
It could, because the horse and buggy age lasted what, hundreds of years, right?
Mm.
The car and all and that age has lasted what, 80 some odd, almost 100 years, right?
The telephone
And now-
age, you could say, lasted like
There you
60,
go.
70 years.
And
Yeah.
now with technology and all of that, we are shooting through the roof, exponential speed. Like the idea that what was it? When was the first iPhone released?
2006?
2006,
2008, I believe.
9, 8, 9, something like that. Yeah.
The iPhone 3G, which is the third iPhone,
Yeah.
had more computing power than the supercomputers that ran all of Rhode Island.
And when you get into this realm early on, like just they've got like super liquids for super cooling everything, because otherwise it just takes insane amounts of water. Like that liquid is like $2,000 a cup, like just to make. Like it becomes so prohibitively expensive. It won't be in consumer tech, but at some point in the future they figure out more. Then it can help on like the cloud computing side, which might affect us in some way.
But see, the point I was making was that tech back then, right?
Yeah.
In 2017, right? Now that is preschool compared to what is in our pockets right now. Like this is the Galaxy S24 Ultra. It is this is far more computing capable and more powerful than any human should ever need in their entire life.
Yeah.
You could take that whole PlayStation 3 supercomputer cluster that the government made, and probably not that far off.
I mean, heck, the Xbox 360 had 512 megabytes of RAM. Like,
Yeah. And so just to help people understand what this all means and where we're going, like people are talking about TOPS and the AI neural networks that they're now building into things, right? So I have handhelds, right? I love gaming handhelds. Right? This is a gaming handheld. It's basically a tablet with two controllers on the side, but it's a gaming handheld, and it works like amazingly well.
Which one is that?
I call it. This is the 1X Player X1 Mini.
Yes, this is one you had over there.
10 inches. This is 8. Right?
Yes, yeah.
This has an 8840U AMD processor in it. Has, what is it, 10 TOPS? That's how they measure the neural network.
TOPS is in TOPS, right, Caps?
TOPS, yeah. That's how they measure what the capabilities of the AI neural networks, what it might be capable of from a capability perspective, right? The Series X's and S have, I think, 80 or so TOPS, right? So that's why people were like, hey, it could potentially be used for more.
Yeah.
PS5 Pro, 300 TOPS.
Oh, wow.
And it's barely being used for its, the pisser and all of this, right?
Yeah.
As more and more of these neural networks gets added into our technologies, now because there's a baseline of them available everywhere. Now, anytime a new operating system comes out or a new technology comes out, it can easily make all of these devices shoot much higher than their potential draw because of these TOPS. Right?
Yeah, I think the one you've got, the next gen that just hit they're like max AI max chips are at like 50 now. They quintupled in a single gen.
So with something like an NPU releasing in the new computers for the Surfaces, stuff like that, that'd be like top heavy.
That would let you take a screenshot of everything you ever do and hope that it doesn't get. Oh wait, no, they
recall.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What we
that's a different scandal.
They're
sir.
really trying to figure out consumer front, like
Yes.
consumer facing uses for this stuff, and they haven't yet,
Yeah.
which is why you keep seeing so many things just constantly thrown at the wall, like Nick with his leaks, just spaghetti everywhere.
The good thing, the good part that I think that will get us there somewhere interesting for our use case is
Yes.
upscaling and generative, upscaling and frame generation, things like that.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like in the specifically AMD for that matter, in the world where AMD and say Intel start getting serious and want to compete with Nvidia, which it looks like they're doing, right?
Yeah.
They'll use agnostic hardware to accelerate their processing, right? Right now, AMD's doing it through algorithms, and they're not really
Yes.
accelerating it. That's why
Yeah.
they don't look as good as DLSS. But as
Yeah.
soon as they start accelerating it with agnostic hardware, now it's almost on par. Hopefully, the more and more they work at it, the better.
AMD's FSR, right?
Yeah, and FSR
The reason why
4
that's-
is going to be AI accelerated, but 3 and 3.1 are
The
not.
reason why that is exciting is it's exciting because if it's Nvidia, you got to have their specific hardware that they spent
Yes.
and made sure you paid $2,000 for and all of that.
Yeah.
AMD
3,400
they got-
Canadian.
You got tops.
God.
It's using the tops you have.
Jeez.
Right. That's the reason why it's exciting.
Hmm.
But yeah.
So do you
see where
think?
it goes.
Because I'm fairly confident the next Xbox or whatever hardware they make will have some kind of NPU in it, right?
Oh,
do you think
absolutely.
Microsoft's gonna do their own proprietary upscaler, or do you think they're gonna just be like AMD? We're gonna
Well, they've
use
got the
your
one
stuff, or-
already that they showed
kinda
off.
doing one
Yeah.
right now. Yeah. The like there's Auto SR.
Yeah,
and
they
then
did,
there's- Yeah, which basically it's like it takes and the cool thing about what theirs is what theirs does is it's a combination of their own upscaler
Yes.
plus APIs that then allow you to integrate all other upscalers and third parties.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So not only can they take DLSS, not only can they take FSR, but then they can add Auto SR on top of it after they've done that. So like in the perfect world, right? You buy yourself a next gen handheld device.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It doesn't have infinite power, obviously. So you turn on Auto SR,
Yeah.
right, with Microsoft's MS Auto SR, and it will then say, okay, well, your device is able to use AMD's
Yeah,
FSR. It's able to do, and just setting it to Auto SR will then give you the ideal use case or runway for your.
Which would help a lot. I mean, I
Which would
played
help a lot. Yeah.
I played Wukong recently, and I kept juggling between the various upscalers, and some of them looked terrible.
Well, that's
You know what I
that's
mean?
Path of Exile too right
believe it
now.
calls that no tweaking and twerking. We don't want to be doing any more tweaking and twerking. You want
Yeah,
to set it to one
Exactly.
button. and let it-
Microsoft's future thing is essentially, hey, game devs, you make a game for us. Don't worry, it'll go everywhere. It'll go on PC, it'll go on cloud, it'll go on console.
Yeah.
You'll be good. And also, people, when you buy our shit, we will make it so it just works if that is what you want. Because it's similar with GeForce Now. They try very hard to give you settings that work, but you are still playing a PC game that can break non-goddamn stop because you're just playing on a really good PC.
Actually, very apt that you make that comparison. Don't they have that setting where you must actually enable it outside the game? If you don't enable it outside the game, once you are in the game, the settings are the settings and you can't change.
Yeah, it has. It's a system. It's an account setting essentially. Like, do you just want it to work? You want or do you want our auto settings, or do you want to just have it be a PC?
I mean, they need that, right? Because as much as people say get PC, there's an audience that wants the simplicity of I click A and the game just works, and if it frame drops, it flipping frame drops.
That's not
I don't worry
an
about
audience. That's the audience. That's
You're
98.
right.
That's 98% of people that. No, that's 99.8% of people that play video games. As I think I put it in there. We'll talk about it a little bit with Circana.
Sorry,
There's
we're still on
numbers.
this for a while, but it's a very interesting topic.
Well,
right?
because
it
Nick and
directly
John
relates-
always want to leave really early, and I don't, so I'm fine with it.
I mean, this topic relates
Hey,
to the
hey,
future of our gaming.
My
Like-
children will break down my door in about 2 hours.
You can go whenever.
We'll be done by then.
All right, I've got it set up. They just don't want to keep going. They don't want us to keep going if one of them leaves. I'm like, all right.
Okay, understood. No, but it is exciting. Like it is exciting. Like in a world where these guys become more of a viable product, you need all that stuff. You need your frame generation and your upscaling because you don't want to run this thing. Nobody wants to run this thing at like like ridiculous 4K this and that. No, you want small It runs
And
great on the screen.
you want a
have it
low
for
power draw, right? Because you don't want it to run a
slow as
battery in
possible.
45
That's right.
minutes. Like,
That's right. That's right.
As it is, like with the Steam Deck,
Be as low as possible.
that whole Steam Deck Verified thing is literally, we are going to go in and find the best looking settings that still are playable. You're probably not going to want to go above 40 or 45. Like a locked 45 FPS works really well with our 90 hertz display. So that's what we shoot for. But other people would be like, well, I'm playing a competitive shooter. I'm like, not on the Steam Deck because it's Linux and you can't do anti-cheat.
straight up. No way, Valorant for you.
Yeah.
And you know what? It makes sense.
You know what though? Real quick, I think Steam makes, or Valve in general, makes a very good reference design that others can steal from when it comes to this. If people remember Steam Input, right? Steam Input is a side effect of the Steam controller.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Big failure, but because of that, Steam Decks, every other game has all these great Steam inputs for games that don't even have have controller inputs, right?
Yeah.
This idea, this concept of letting it be worked on by the community and aggregated the community's best configurations can literally be put forth on games.
Yeah, you're right.
Here's your best config. Boom, hit the button. It applies to gamer who doesn't want to go messing with fog settings.
And like that is already kind of a thing for people who want, like with the ROG ally, there's an entire subreddit where it's like, hey, just here's an ini file, double click it or copy it in, boom.
Manually ini files, exactly.
Yeah.
This would be transparent to and for those who watch my show, my podcast partner, Mr. Everborn Saga, has a thing he calls called CEG, the console. What is it? I've been calling it console emotional gamer for so long that I don't even forget. I don't remember what he meant by that. It's console experience gamer. That's what it is, which is basically Steam big picture mode. Things like that, right?
Yes.
I think that last piece of the puzzle is what they need for that, ex console gamer who is now on PC to feel like they can really be confident here, right? You go, oh, I played this game. This game is fun. I have this device. Would it work here? And you find some other user who's already done what you're doing, who's already gotten you the best config, and that you just apply.
And they have so many of the building blocks already ready for that, right? They have cloud saves ready to go. They have Play Anywhere ready to go. Well, it still needs work, but like it's all kind of getting there.
And that is the big push. Is next gen is you don't have to worry about Play Anywhere. You don't have to make another build. You make us a build, and it just gives it to you, and then your game is on the cloud, and you can sell it on the cloud. Like it doesn't have to be in Game Pass. It'll just be there. The big build up they need, and they've been adding more things slowly, but every time they add a game, it fills up that local storage on those cloud servers. So they've got to build that up, and it's not cheap. You got to have decent SSDs to be able to do that shit. So it'll be very interesting to see where they go. It's going to take a little while.
Right now with Pillars of Eternity 2, on Game Pass, on my ROG Ally, there was essentially only one version I could find, which was the PC version. I didn't want that because I'm planning on playing on Xbox, right? But then I had to dig a little bit, but you do find the cloud version, which is the Xbox version, right? So I ended up using that instead, and that's when I go back home and I'm on the Xbox, boom, my saves are right there. I'm playing the same version of the game. That's like the future that they're building towards. It's really exciting, even though a lot of people think, Xbox dead, no exclusives, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, how do you innovate with hardware? That doesn't mean anything. Yeah, no, that's not true. Watch the last 30 minutes of this and you'll see how you can innovate with hardware.
Like the only way to innovate gaming at this point, because they're getting down to 3 nanometer, you can't really go smaller. You've got to figure out other shit.
You know what's interesting? Really quick. PlayStation had the whole cart, right? And there was kind of this effort of saying like, hey, you want help in a certain area, click this button, boom, you're in the exact place, that kind of thing. It didn't really work because not many games used it, except for like their first party and first year. With specifically even Muse, let's say, or other generative AI. As I'm playing a game like Pillars of Eternity, I'm constantly going on my phone wondering, hey, what's a good build for this companion? What should I level up next? Blah, blah, blah. If they can just fine-tune that entire process, right?
So it is interesting you bring that up because Microsoft did show that off. What was it, a year ago? I wonder where it is at this point. It might be, who knows, but an AI that literally becomes your ghost companion that lives like an overlay on top of your gameplay.
Yes, I remember them talking about this.
Ask this exact question. Oh, how does this work? How does that work? Oh, I'm doing this. And it's not an AI that's built by the game. It's literally watching and playing the game while you're watching and playing the game yourself.
Like most AI things.
Yeah.
It's just a puff of smoke. It's never going to exist.
I don't know, man. I can see
There
it.
are
Imagine
things
that-
that will, but most of the things that have been talked about until you actually see them in action. Like if you're doing that for 20, there's what 100 plus million people playing on Xbox in some capacity. There's like 500 million if you count mobile.
Yes,
Like every
yes,
month,
oh God.
if you're running that for even 5% of them, then the amount you are spending in computing all of that shit. Oh boy.
See,
He said he's written it in Dutch for K.
I was gonna say, yeah, I can't. I'm gonna need you to read that.
Wow. Okay, so I'm gonna try and translate this for the English audience because, yeah, let me translate. He's asking if everything's okay, right? Has there any more snow fallen? And when are we getting the Xbox handheld? And he's also, let's see, is Steam coming to the Xbox handheld and PlayStation games as well? That's what he's asking. Right. So there you go. He always seems to enjoy the fact that this man knows how to understands exactly what he is saying.
If you want to know about Steam and the Xbox ecosystem, just join the XboxEra Discord, where every once in a while Tom Warren pops in and says, "I've been talking about this for over a year." Yes, Steam is in the next Xbox. He keeps yelling it online, and people keep asking him. He's like, "I keep saying yes. The plan is it's an Xbox. It works like an Xbox. It plays all your old Xbox games, but." Since they own Windows, it accesses the Windows kernel and it can use Steam and the other stores.
Jesse, sir, you think that me writing that article for you guys some time ago was just me being optimistic? No. That's me with digital receipts. When this whole thing happens,
People just don't pay
receipt. It's timestamps, everything. No one's paying attention. Like when it happens exactly like I said it will, I will be ridiculous, ladies and gentlemen. I will say, told you.
You got to go on a victory tour. Just go on every podcast, go on everything you can.
I'll be like, where the flowers? Throw them right here. Let's go. What are we doing?
Just look at Nick. He gets things right all the time, and no one cares.
The funny part is, even if let's say Valve plays hardball, blah blah blah, and Steam doesn't make it on the next Xbox for now, EGS almost certainly will, because Microsoft and Tim Sweeney have like a pretty good relationship. For Ralph Sweeney. You know, every single PlayStation first-party game on PC is on EGS, which I didn't know until I looked it up.
Although, I would say, in the paradigm of PC parlance, EGS is more likely to go, oh, PlayStation, you don't want that to be on that hardware? Okay, we'll find a way of omitting it from that hardware.
See, I feel like that opens it up.
They don't have a right. Like so, it is just a Windows agreement.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only reason they were able to do it with GeForce is because GeForce didn't have a right without you need their explicit agreement for it. But with EGS or with Steam, you're signing a contract with them to make this playable on Windows, or even like, and it works on Linux. Like it'll work on goddamn anything. You can't target it and say don't
also,
work here.
Pretty
much.
The market leader, right? Are they the market leader of the exclusive high performance console market? Right?
What you doing there, sir?
Hey, they made the definition. All right, not Xbox.
Yes, they did.
But I was gonna say, frick, dang it,
frick, darn, heck, butts.
Oh yes. I actually have an image already ready to go. It's an Xbox, and it just says this is a PS5. I have it ready to go. I'm just waiting for either EGS or Steam to be playable on Xbox, and boom, there you go, bro.
See, the only thing I saw that they were doing as far as PlayStation that they were doing that I thought was kind of interesting, raised an eyebrow. They started sabotaging their own games to make sure that it wouldn't really play in Proton, which I thought was kind of like, they couldn't get Valve to stop them, right? So they started sabotaging their own code to make it not really work inside Proton. But
so weird.
Doing that, you can't go to Gabe and Co. and be like, I don't want this. They'll tell you, well, then there's the door. And
Valve does not give a shit. Valve is like, we make infinite money from all of our money laundering in Counter-Strike 2. We don't need you. You can go away if you want. You're here to make money for yourself, and you're just kind of for the 350 of us that actually work in this tiny company that don't. Steam sucks. I hate Steam. Steam is the worst, but they won.
They won, yes. Do you know who you should be using? Who everyone should be using, but no one is?
GOG. Yes.
But no one uses it. GOG is the only store where you actually own what you buy.
You can just download the entire game. Its installer is right there. It'll work forever. It's just you have it. It's yours.
Yeah.
The crazy thing, and I'm on a geek tangent, so I'm going to do it. It's absolutely crazy.
Go for
If
it.
you buy a game in GOG, right? If you buy a game in GOG, you happen to have an interestingly powerful Android phone, you can then download the installer, put it on the Android phone, and run it through an emulator called WinLater, and you're literally playing Windows full PC games on your Android handout. Only possible when you have the installer, which
Yeah.
only GOG
Yeah.
will give you.
Yeah.
And it's
GOG is
DRM free, so if you are a filthy pirate, you can just grab them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, all right. We have talked about that a lot. Let's
Yeah.
move on because there's still a fair bit of news to talk about. So one thing which has been making the rounds in the last few days was there's twofold. One was a skater claimed that he's in a new Tony Hawk remaster about to come out via VGC. And also inside Call of Duty, there's an in-game tease, which is now turned into a literal countdown, pointing towards a date, I think March 4th or March 3rd.
You go to TonyHawkTheGame.com. You got 9 days, 15 hours, 39 minutes, and 22, 21, 20 seconds where it says 03, 04, 05, 25 with a little icon that looks like an amalgamation of the Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4 skater
What's
poses
funny is
together.
like it could be both, right? It could just be saying, hey, March 4th, but also 3, 4, right? 3 and 4. So people are speculating what this is. Some people are thinking, oh, because it's on a Tuesday, might be just a Game Pass of the 1 and 2 coming.
It could be, yeah, like it could be both.
Very unlikely, considering now that they have like a countdown. I don't think it'd be just for a Game Pass release. What's looking more likely, and I think what did Nick say? Someone said earlier that they're working on a 3 and 4 remaster as well.
Yeah, Nick said it a year ago, and he's just he wants me. He gave me links and stuff. I was like, I'm not going to set it up so people can hear it and all that shit. But yes, you can go back. He's going to tweet it out a ton. Yes, he sent me like 7 messages saying, "Look at this, play it." I'm like, no.
Hawk said it like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Tony
Oh,
Hawk
yeah, it was
himself.
September. It was September. He had an Instagram reel talking about how there's exciting stuff coming. Like, yeah.
Right? And I, for one, for the record, loved with my whole heart the remake of 1 and 2. And what did Vicarious Visions get for
Vicarious
it?
Visions.
All kinds, Call of Duty. Right? That's
No,
what they got.
Diablo.
They are Blizzard Albany right now.
Yeah, they're all Diablo.
Yeah.
That being said, they're still their own.
Who does the remake of 3 and 4?
It's right here at the bottom of the page, baby. Iron Galaxy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get Activision's logo and you get Iron Galaxy's logo at the bottom of the page.
Yeah. That being said, Blizzard Albany is still, from what I know, its own kind of thing, right? So even though they are working on various different games, you can always kind of just be like, hey, also work on this.
It's the issue that we'll get into with the Circana stuff, where it's just like there's things just don't sell. Dead Space Remake's one of the best things of all time. It sold like shit.
God. Prince of Persia, right? The sequel was canceled because it didn't sell. People are mad at Ubisoft. Nah, bro, y'all didn't buy it. Y'all
Same with
play
Immortals Phoenix Rising, the Peloponnesian one they were going to be working on. It's like, no, we cannot do this. We need to make 17 more Assassin's Creeds. No.
God. And somehow still work on Beyond Good and Evil 2. Guys, it's over.
No, but that game's going to be $1 billion in, and they're just going to never be able to make more than a tenth of that back at the most.
How many years in are they now with Beyond Good and Evil 2?
Oh, God. Was that like 2017 E3 when they showed it?
No, it was like 2008. It was announced and started work on.
What? Oh, I'm not even counting that, man.
Yeah, they've paid for that. That was really being worked on that entire time and rebooted and multiple times.
Crazy.
Like if it comes out in 2028, it'll have been 20 years of development or something like that. It'll have probably cost $1 billion conservatively. Like you're paying people for on and off for 20 years.
That game is not making its money back.
But also, like, they're doing the Black Flag remake. I'd be all over that. I'd let John review it because it's his favorite one. But I would love that. The redoing Splinter Cell, the Sands of Time when they're redoing, like, Ubisoft has made a lot of amazing games that just haven't been selling great lately. Like, I actually think Far Cry 6 was my favorite Far Cry, and that one didn't do great.
People are warming up on 6. At least online, I've noticed.
Yeah.
Oh, this game's actually pretty good.
Yeah, no, it is. It was great it was by far. It was the first time it actually felt really good on a controller, because like there's always been just a little bit off in the aim acceleration and stuff. But
the subject matter, boy, it's hot. People are revisiting it now.
One
going,
of the
they might be on something,
and one of the best like trans man representations I've seen. It's doesn't define the character. It just is part of who they are at points in the story.
No, Ubisoft is interesting for sure. They're releasing a lot of stuff, and Shadows is going to kill it. By the way, too much to the chagrin of many people online.
Yeah, they've already said it's matching Odyssey's pre-orders, which were very high. But obviously, the biggest one ever was Valhalla, which everyone says, "Oh, they're too long now." It's like, no, that's what people do want that, as we will find out with Circana in the next story.
Moving on to Circana. So the Circana updates come, which for those who don't know, it's the rebranding of God, I can't believe
NPD.
NPD, yes, with Matt Piscatella, has a really expensive subscription, probably through work. I'm hoping through work, and he gives us some tidbits here and there for the last few months, only on Blue Sky, which is respect.
He's anti-Nazi. I get it.
Yeah, I fully get it. But there's a couple interesting things, right? One was if Microsoft purchases EA,
he works at Circana, by the way, in case you were wondering. Yes, he is the executive director and video game industry analyst for them.
That's the only way I kind of figured he's even allowed to like basically post these summarized.
Yeah, it's his stuff, and there are certain things he says he can't talk about because of the partnerships they have with the people that give them this data.
Though they do, every once in a while, they'll just answer questions based off stuff that he didn't even post, and I appreciate that. But essentially for Xbox, the big thing was that Xbox Series has shifted dramatically to the all digital version, which is interesting because it's only $50 cheaper, and hardware sales is still down across the board. Yeah, not just Xbox. Switch obviously is dying out because the new Switch is
Xbox is down the most, but it really feels like they're just not shipping many. Like they're in the and he said the Xbox peaked in 2022 and now they're down. PlayStation 5 peaked in 2023 and now they're down. Like they're in the latter half. Switch is dead because everyone now knows Switch 2 is coming. And it hadn't been announced yet for the whole month, but it was announced for most of the month. And so things really slow down. So the hardware end of things, I think it was like 80% digital, he said, if my memory is correct. Like it had shifted to the digital, the Series S and the all digital Series X. But it's still about 50-50 on X and S in the US for sales.
What was interesting was people assumed when they saw that big digital number that it's just the Series S being sold, but no, a lot of it is the Series X all digital version.
Yeah, and I would say to Abdul, it's not crazy with no price drops. Phil said it before it even started. Is like the Series X is our Pro because we don't think the prices on components are going to lower, and they have not.
True, they definitely have not. Yeah.
In terms of exact numbers, double-digit percentage declines compared to a year ago, seen across all major console platforms. PlayStation 5 hardware spending dropped 38% year on year, Xbox Series declining 50%, and Switch 53%.
Yeah, and it's all hardware, not just consoles, which means also accessories. Because like he talks a lot about, he was on with Kind of Funny, and he talked about how like the people like us who buy one or more game a month on average are like 4% of the industry. We are 4%. And people who buy more than a game every couple of months is like 8%, or it was a 12%. But then like 60% and 40% buy either nothing or one or two games a year. And that's it. That is the majority. That's like almost all of people who play video games. And you could tell hardware spending was up because they buy a lot of accessories because their controllers would break or they would need more. Also, Hall effect joysticks are going to start affecting that because they don't break as often. You don't get drift. So hardware spending across the board down because people are just playing less overall. So they don't need as many controllers.
It was 88%. It was the exact number of digital Xbox Series units, of which the Series X was roughly half, which is interesting. Also, the PS5 Pro has fallen behind the PS4 Pro's pace, which was expected. To be honest, I was a little surprised it sold as much as it did.
Well, they go by numbers too, so it's less units, but more money per unit. So a lot more, like almost twice. So
God, that thing is very expensive. But either way, what do you guys think of these trends? Like, is it kind of just like the lull before like the big releases and the Switch 2 comes out, or is this kind of pointing towards the decline of consoles, you could say?
They don't count Portals as consoles anymore. They actually got pushed back from that and stopped. The Portal's done really well, by the way, for anyone who wonders. It's made a lot of money.
How will you grow on that? I didn't think
It's
that would do
all
well.
it's all cyclical, and right now we're in the downtrend of a generation. A big release like Grand Theft Auto will help. The main issue is it is so top heavy. Like when he lists the top 10 games on everything, the only time anything ever jumps in playtime is if it hits one of the sub services. Other than that, your top spending is pretty much always the same stuff. And the top 10 games being spent on Xbox, I think, were all Microsoft or EA, if memory is correct.
Yes.
Like all 10 of them were either a Microsoft or EA published live service game, pretty much for the most part. So
it's interesting that on PC, 3 of the top 10 are Sony published games. Like there are still deniers out there. It's coming, guys. Day and date, PC games on PlayStation. Sorry, oh my god, PlayStation games on PC is well on its way. It's also interesting seeing that Helldivers didn't even chart on PlayStation, but it's number 9.
Yeah, no, it's been
PC.
incredibly successful on PC. It did fine on console. Like I bet you it did probably close to what they were hoping for on console, but it has a super strong legs on PC.
Yeah, 100%.
Because it's really it's smartly priced, so that you don't feel bad buying that game for $40 and then seeing a cool battle pass or what they call them in there and saying like, yeah, I'll throw another 10 at it or whatever. Like it's you can't do the full 70 and then get more microtransaction money unless you are like a Call of Duty or something else. People just feel icky.
None of these numbers are surprising, right? Especially where we are, right? Obviously, Nintendo going to Nintendo. We already know what's happening with Nintendo. Xbox, it looks like, and we don't have to go any further into it than just to mention that even recently, one of their biggest markets in Brazil, they've decided that it seems like they're closing up shop as far as hardware development in Brazil or hardware releasing of the series consoles.
Yeah, pretty much anywhere they don't have good margins, they're like, because I remember them talking when the prices went up. Like all their margins in Brazil were really bad. And Phil was like, yeah, we still have to make money on these products. And we barely are. It's still our worst margin, even with this cost.
It really looks like they are at a place now where even though it's still side by side, PlayStation's on the same shelf as an Xbox is, and they're still competing for your dollars or whatever. It really does look like Microsoft has mentally taken their ball and going home, right? They're doing different things. Even it looks like even from their overtures and their interviews and stuff, it looks like even though you'll still see a console from them, their priority for it is different than to be in the market and compete side by side against the other competitor in the market. They have changed their paradigm, and in so doing, it looks like it's working for them because although hardware sales are down year on year, and yes, they are, you still don't see MAU numbers shifting wildly, right? You see PlayStation getting a bunch of console players in. Their MAU numbers have risen, which is great, but Xbox's MAU numbers have not fallen, right? So it seems like those who love consoles will buy consoles. Those who don't love consoles just won't buy them. But the games are the games, and you'll play them, whether it be on PC or anywhere else you want to play them. You will continue to play them. So again, like we keep saying to some graybeards who don't want to hear it, the end is nigh.
Well, PlayStation had their best MAUs ever, but it was the push into PC that has really helped a lot.
Yes.
Right. Exactly.
And even the PlayStation hardware sales, 49% of them were digital.
Yes.
It's coming. Really quick, I looked into the Brazil stuff because actually I did not read that at all. That happened just yesterday or day before. They pulled. It looks like they pulled all Series X's, but the Series S's are still available on shelf.
But the Series S costs more than a PS5.
God damn, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I fully expect the next generation of consoles or hardware, whatever it ends up being, is not going to be as subsidized as we're used to.
It's not. I don't think it's going to be subsidized at all. At the most, it would be at like cost, maybe, but even then, probably not.
Yeah. So people, I hope you're getting ready for some pretty expensive hardware coming soon. But you'll still have the option, though. Hey, right? Which is the important part, in my opinion.
Because also, if the Series S equivalent is the handheld instead of a Series S, it won't be cheap. Because it's going to have to be chunky in ways. It has to have the screen and all the other chips and the controller and everything right in there. With it's probably some real kick-ass cooling solution to make it not a little. The Series S gets real hot, so if they try to make that work in a handheld, it's also going to produce a lot of heat.
Yes.
My Legion Go can heat a small room if I leave it running for a while.
I need to keep this thing on like silent or performance mode, worst case. What was I gonna say really quick before we move on? Man, holy crap! I didn't realize that Flight Sim 2024 is still selling really, really well on Xbox.
And
Yeah,
it doesn't even have the goddamn marketplace in it yet.
Straight up, like
which is strange as heck. Like I scratched my head. Like, do I have like a beta build of this game? Like, you released it without the store. That's just weird.
It was not ready. I haven't done a review because it just most of the time doesn't work for me. My review would be, if you're lucky enough and it's working for you, it's great. It doesn't most of the time. 3 out of 10.
yeah,
That's what I've had trying to use it over time. I just have had no luck. It's better now, but
it used to be problematic for me, but now I get it every time. I've had no issue.
half the time I try and load it, either PC or console, it takes like 30 minutes to start up. Then it's okay. Like, it's really weird. It still have a lot of problems with it, but your mileage may vary.
Yeah.
That and Forza Horizon 5 continues to remain a juggernaut.
Mm-hmm.
What was that? The latest benchmark? What didn't they hit like a new like 40
million? I think 40 million was a few weeks ago. Yeah. But like, for example, it was the 6th best-selling game on Xbox. Like that's what, 3 years old now, 4 years old, 2021, I think, right? Forza Horizon 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. But okay, all right, moving on to the next list. We had a couple other games being added to Game Pass, of course,
and only a couple.
Only a couple, yeah. Avowed, of course, is the big one that released this month, but I think also Rogue Trader.
Yeah, Warhammer 40K, Rogue Trader, the big old RPG.
Unexpected, I think, and it's actually a pretty big drop onto the list that people aren't talking about as much, because I've only heard great things about this game.
Not the studio, but the game.
Yes, fair. Definitely not the studio. I've also heard it's a great entry point into the 40K universe. Or so I've been told. I have not played it myself.
It was a very interesting drop, I think, because people get mad when there's not a ton of games, but around first party releases, especially, I think they will. And not just the fact that Avowed was dropping the day that this was announced, but they had just done 6 day one drops 2 or 3 weeks before. So, you know, you had Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, and all those other Citizen Sleeper, all that stuff hitting 3 weeks before this announcement. So it's still just a really busy time, and their main metric on stuff is time played. Like, how much is somebody going to play something? That is what they care about with a Game Pass drop.
I think we've gotten so used to Game Pass drops being full of like these surprising drops, right? Like, let's go back a year or a year and a half or 2 years ago, and every other Tuesday was like this cool little, what's going to come that I'm going to play, right? But these days you have so many Microsoft games releasing, which you already know are coming on Game Pass, so they're not a surprise anymore. There's so many of them coming out that the service doesn't need to rely on as many like, oh, hey, you didn't expect this big third-party game coming out on Game Pass.
Yeah.
You know?
Isn't that why I always thought the comparison to Netflix was very apt? Yeah. Same thing happened to Netflix, right? They started being the place where you go to watch shows and movies from everywhere else, and then eventually they became the place where you go to watch Netflix shows and movies and nowhere else, right? So much so that it started drowning out the third-party efforts, right? Doesn't mean that they're gone. There are still great, healthy third parties there to this very day, but you these days subscribe to Netflix because of Netflix shows.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. And you subscribe to Game Pass essentially for the dozens of games Microsoft releases and updates. Like,
like all the day ones they do, and there's just a ton of stuff.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, Sniper Elite, you know, a few of the others are completely getting shafted and sidelined because Avowed is taking up all the air in the room. It just is.
Yeah.
It just is.
Like
it will for the next maybe 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, and this one was 3 surprisingly big games, with Watch Dogs Legion being a decently. I mean, you can beat it in 10 hours if you just mainline it, but most people won't. So you got Watch Dogs Legion. Is great. Yeah, I was one of the few people that liked it at launch. The game got savaged in reviews, but it was a very anti-Ubisoft time. then
Movement, yes. I think that might have been.
See your console. You want to see your economy level console do awesome ray tracing. That's the game for it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Really good ray tracing implementation on it. Yeah.
So it was just the three of Rogue Trader, Watch Dogs Legion, and then F1 24 coming in because now 25 is about to release. So 23 leaves, 24 comes in. It's I don't know. It's tough because people get so used to big numbers meaning more, especially because it might cover their tastes more. Because there's also
they'll take the month and then they'll go a year ago, be like, oh, a year ago this February drop had 15 games released on Game Pass, right?
We had a guy on the Strawman on our Discord go through and look at everything, and it was the exact same number of games in 2023 and 2024. Yet everyone was still like 2023 just had so much more. It's like, no, it was the exact. It was like 219, I think, the exact same number both years.
We know more of what is releasing.
Yeah, right? And 2022 had way more third-party indies because Phil was pissed because they didn't have anything first-party. So he's like, okay, you got to go find stuff then. And they spend a lot more money on day ones.
2022 was still a fantastic year for me and my Xbox because I played so many great games that year on my console. But next week, Monday, right, you have the Xbox ID at Xbox show, right, with IGN. Chances are we're going to see like 5-6 titles announced for Game Pass then. We already know what they are. So when they show up eventually in the coming year or the year after, they're not going to be surprised. And that aspect of, oh, it's not a surprise, I think people still need to get more used to that being the norm and not.
And it was one of the things like Matt Piscatell talked a lot about on his Kind of Funny show that he live stream that he did with them. No one cares who publishes something.
Yes.
People don't give a crap. Like we focus so much on, Sony has nothing this year. It's like, no, the PlayStation 5 has 18 trillion good games this year. They had them last year. They'll have them next year.
Only the hardcore, certain console warrior elements care about the first to third.
Yeah, because most people don't care about that stuff. They're just playing Minecraft or Fortnite or Roblox or Call of Duty or FIFA or Madden. That's all they play. They don't care. And that's most of the audience. That's not us. But we think we matter more.
I do get a level of satisfaction, or rather I should say I did get a level of satisfaction seeing their latest show and like only 4 games not coming on Xbox on it. You know what I mean? More so because of the foots on the shoes on the other foot aspect of it. Ultimately, it doesn't really matter, right? Lost Soul aside, it's first party, third party. Who cares, right? Like the main thing is it's coming on your console and you guys have access to it.
Yeah, they saw a single developer making something cool and they actually wanted to publish a game with them, and now it's like a 40-man studio. They've built that up. It is their thing. They've really invested into, but it's also pretty much anything in China. Microsoft as a company can't do investment in China. They just can't. They have too many government contracts in the US, and the way it all works, they're really not allowed to do that much in China.
I imagine they're working on it, right? Because they still get a few games. Wukong will still hopefully eventually come out.
Phil said he knows when it's coming.
Okay, all right, good to know.
But he said that months ago, and he didn't elaborate.
Yeah, fair enough. But we do have Wu Chang.
Maybe never. He did tell you when it was coming.
I know when it's coming. It's not.
But it's like, people just focus so heavily on, and it's not just people that watch stuff. It's the people that they're watching. Like people who cover games focus way too much on who a publisher is. It just matters what is on a platform. Doesn't matter who put it there. It matters more with Microsoft because it means it's in Game Pass. But outside of that, like no one's going to give a crap who published something. They're just looking at the game. Who cares?
It only matters with Microsoft. You know what I mean? Like, but you know what? People deified Sony published games, right? SIE Entertainment presents that little white logo with the black background. People have over the last decade have hyped that up so much, put it on this massive pedestal saying, oh, this means the game's going to be fantastic no matter what, right? That's not the case. That's never been the case. Games are good, games are bad. It's all preference based. You know what I mean?
The case. I'll push back a little on that and say
what I mean is like,
my pushback is I feel like Sony genre games have become pop. You know what I mean? Pop music.
As like you know what you're coming into.
Pop music. Well, pop music has no genre. It's pop music can be anything. Right? Yeah. Today it's bluegrass. Tomorrow it's hip hop.
Yes.
Right? And their brand of music became pop in the sphere of the audience. No matter what they made, it's going to be amazing because you like that over the shoulder third-person sad dad simulation. You know what I'm saying? I do too.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Anything
Yeah.
they do, they'll right. But I think that's the reason why people assuade greatness to them. If you like that genre and you are part of the reason why it's now considered pop, you will love that, and it's just more and more for
That's
you.
fair.
And
That's fair.
in so doing, it turns the ones that used to be the mainstay into niches, right?
Yes.
Like the ones that used to be, oh my God, this is what we're all there for. No, if you're not a sad dad, third person over the shoulder.
Yes. And that ends up being the case even for Sony exclusives, right?
Yeah.
You have a game like Astrobot, which is a fantastic game that ended up not selling that well. Right? It wasn't what people expected. In fact, the usual console warring crowd, what did they latch onto that year when it came to Sony? Not Astrobot, even though it's an amazing game. They latched onto.
I try to get people to advocate to Astrobot because at the end of the day, if you are a graybeard like me and you like a beginning, a middle, and an end, you don't want black hole games. You want budgets to get smaller. This is what you should teach the big corporations. You make smaller game with fun stuff. I buy. That would
100%.
make them do more of that.
It helps that it's one of the best platformers ever made, right? Like, what I mean more so is like
Nintendo people that will come for you for saying that.
One of, all right. That being said, Mario Odyssey,
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Hey, Jesse knows what I'm talking about. But what I mean is more like the online persona, and this is at the same time where there's a constant Xbox has no games, because they're not making.
There is still that. I saw it this week after the AI news.
Oh, there's very much.
Yeah, for like in a company that's struggling to put out any games, I'm like, no, they're not. They publish as much. They publish more than pretty much anybody.
Man, Indiana Jones is amazing.
Yeah, and Avowed, like they've been.
Yep.
I don't know. They're just. It's always people like expensive, and at the end of the day, no matter what they say, people like it when something looks and feels expensive. That's one of the main things that carried Baldur's Gate 3. It's amazing facial capture tech for all the acting. Like it adds so much character to what is also an excellent game. Otherwise,
fantastic voice acting.
But like Avowed, kind of weird.
Game.
Yeah.
They released no games. They released Pentiment. Oh, that doesn't count.
Yep.
Well, yeah, 2022 was they released 3 great games, but they were smaller scope, so it's not enough, which I get. And they weren't happy because they had their things that were supposed to come out get delayed. And people will pretend Starfield sucks. Like, you can say what you want about Redfall, but Starfield was successful. It did great.
Yeah.
It's just it's always this, and Phil has talked about it before. It doesn't matter if we put out 10 out of 10 games, it won't change anything. And people are like, oh, that's defeatist. But then you hear people in the industry ask, what can Microsoft do to win you over or fix things? And they said, oh, nothing. There's nothing they can do.
Doesn't matter what they can do. There's absolutely nothing they can do.
Like they know that they know. Like we're not going to ask Phil, hey, when you wrote GameSpot reviewer fanboys, what do you mean by that? Like you can tell they know how the industry looks at them.
But you know what though? I think they may have found a way of solving that problem. We won't know until maybe this summer. We'll see. Right. My theory here is they have solved this problem. We just haven't seen it yet. They announced Indiana Jones and they put it on Front Street that it's going everywhere. And all you got was just accolades everywhere.
And then Avowed.
We all know Avowed is going everywhere. They officially announced it and it's getting dashed everywhere. I have a feeling that if Avowed was announced day and date everywhere, the sentiment might shift.
Yeah,
it's interesting because people will be like, "Oh, it means they're declaring defeat," and it's like, okay, sure, right? Defeat for a war that is no longer.
I was talking with somebody who said Microsoft's in a panic because they're not making any money, and I'm like, are you smoking crack? They're going to make $24 billion this year. Like they're making more money than ever. Sony's making more money than ever. Nintendo's making more money. They're all healthy, making money and existing. They're just looking to make more.
It's their definition of success versus ours. If you're a consumer, your definition of success is they're crushing the competitor. Their definition of success is making all of your money. All of your money. If they crush PlayStation tomorrow, and now that means the 50 or the 60 million PlayStation users, Xbox users are only the PlayStation, the market available, they would hate that. They want PlayStation to be nice and healthy so that they can take all of PlayStation owners' money as well.
Yeah, they gave a bunch of money to Apple to make sure they continue to exist because they knew the scrutiny they would be under without Apple around was going to be even worse.
They need, I think they call that internally Operation Human Shield. Like, this is what happens. This is what they do. right? But
In
people's definition is different than, oh, you got to beat them at their game. They don't want to do battle on the battlefield. They can
yes,
own the planet
yes.
where the battlefield takes place.
Oh yeah, well, I've talked about it before. Like their actual strategy now is to become like way too important everywhere.
Yeah.
Like they will be one of the biggest
everyone.
publishers on everyone else's platform, which gets them better relationships with everybody by default.
There's a world, maybe
In
there's
a
a
world.
world where Microsoft, without a PlayStation, maybe there's a world where Microsoft didn't fall off, where Microsoft continued to sell hundreds of millions of consoles. Well, actually, continue the 360. Either way, and maybe in that world they don't do this publisher strategy, right? Maybe, and sure, that's hypothetical.
It would be a world where costs could actually go down again, like where a Series
yeah.
X right now could be sold for $250, like it would be if it was an Xbox One.
The reason why that hypothetical is dumb to me is because it doesn't flip and exist. It doesn't matter if there was a world like that. What matters is the reality we live in right now, which is Microsoft going this route of, you know what, we don't need to focus on hardware, which we lose money on anyways, right? We see the trends. Kids these days don't grow up saying, I want a PlayStation, I want an Xbox. No, they say, I want to be like that favorite streamer I watch for 3 hours every day because my parents are bad parents. You know what I mean? Like,
hey, do you have kids, sir? I don't
no,
think so.
not yet. Not yet. But you know what I mean? Like they see the writing on the wall. In fact, they don't just
any of that. All right, we do the best we can. They were watching.
I know what you
just
mean.
only an hour and a half. Calm down.
I have like 15 nieces and nephews. I know exactly what you mean. Holy crap, kids are a nightmare. But like they don't just see the writing on the wall. They pay the money to find the writing on the wall. And then they make decisions based off it. Are they the right decisions? Will it work 5, 10, 15 years from now? We don't know, right? Like there's people I talk to who are like, oh, Xbox is completely dead. They're not going to have third-party support, even though they have the best third-party support they've ever flipping had their whole life to date right now, including Japanese games. Irrelevant. They're going to be dead in 5 years. There's not going to be no console, no hardware.
Well, everyone's talking about a gaming crash, and it's like, no, gaming makes way too much money to crash. It's been an investment crash, which has really hurt smaller places. Like the platforms are all making plenty, but the platforms are also beholden to their shareholders and have to show they've got ideas, especially AI driven ones like we saw this week, that are going to make even more. When the reality is, when they talk about it in their quarterly report, they literally said, due to lowering hardware costs, our margins are rising. Like that is why they're not putting out as much hardware, because they want their margins up. They want to keep more money.
Gaming is part of capitalism, and part of capitalism, consumerism is investing, right? It's just a reality. It's just a reality. It's why would someone invest $100 million in something if they're going to get 105 million back? That's a terrible investment, right? Like there needs to be return, because that's just the way we're doing it. The way the industry works. Let me rephrase. There's a lot we can talk about here, and we will.
That's the way any business works, right? That's the
literally it's the definition of businesses.
At the base level, how much money you put in, you have to get back plus more, otherwise it doesn't work for you, right?
Exactly.
If you think about it that way at that base level, it makes perfect sense. It's the reason why when Microsoft said, "Oh, they're putting their games everywhere," I'm like, "It took y'all long enough." Like it is business, like business.
And it's also why Sony will release
product and then artificially limiting it.
Yes.
Right.
What was it? I think that recently in the interview with Shuhei, right? He was like, putting games on PC is like free money, right?
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. The only reason they don't do it as often is because they're not great at it. They keep having a really hard time getting them to work well, even with Nixes, who are fantastic.
And they also know that if they did it whole cloth like one day, the diehards in their current ecosystem would feel so disenfranchised that they would lose them all, and you would not have an off ramp continue, right?
Yeah, go look at the Spider-Man 2 PC announce blog on PlayStation. Yeah. It's nothing but people pissed off that they're only talking about PC and not where's my DLC. It's like people don't buy DLC, so they didn't bother this time.
They have to kowtow to the console main until they have another beachhead, and then they go,
yes,
your services are no longer needed.
The last thing about
CEGs, console emotional gamers.
Oh, there we go. Okay, all right.
You see where it came from?
I got it. Yeah. The last thing I'll touch on is I want to say that the whole console war aspect and it going away. I think the reason why it resonates, or why it's still such a relevant topic in our circles, is because people legitimately feel threatened in the way where I invested so much of my console effort and life and gaming effort into this aspect. You can't just take it away. That doesn't work. There are entire forums built on top of this passion, if I want to put it lightly, sorry, in a very positive spin, right? And when that kind of goes away in a very lackluster method, right? Which is, hey, yeah, guys, we're just releasing everything because turns out you're the old heads, not the audience anymore, right? You're not the main audience anymore, or
So,
part of the audience. Let me rephrase.
so I think that, like, I hear you. I think it goes a little beyond that,
Mm.
which is like they're saying that like there's a lot of stuff being said that not being said that they actually mean. Right?
Yes.
I agree with you that they don't want to interact with the fact that they are no longer
The big dog.
main,
Yeah.
the main focus of it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I actually think that fundamentally it's that the gray beard cannot understand the idea that they are past their prime and it's basically it's expediting their mortality. It's bringing forth their mortality. They're seeing that, hey, I'm no longer the priority in this.
It
Right?
becomes an existential
My
crisis,
kids are the ones
right?
you're talking to. I still have a wallet. What happened to me? Like
Yeah.
it is an existential crisis a little bit.
You know, it's like my friends growing up, right? We're seeing the Super Bowl halftime shows. We're like, oh wow, they're finally playing good music. It's like, nah, dude. Now you're the audience that's watching.
Well, it's like our friend in chat, the elemental hero, the Shadow Link Dragon Wolf King, was saying and constantly talks about how they're finally giving customers what they want. Capcom's going to make more single player stuff and not chase live service. And like, it's not what most customers want. Most customers want live service. The issue is they already have it. It's already there. So yeah, you need to make. There's still a space for live or single player stuff that isn't full on games as a service. It might have some live service stuff like Monster Hunter Worlds is definitely going to be that for them, or Wilds. But yeah, but that means the budget and the amount of that single player stuff like Kunitsugami probably exists in large part because they were able to get a Game Pass deal, which helps pay for it. And that is, as we talked with Phil, Game Pass is the reason they still are able to put out South of Midnight and Avowed and all these other things, and that with the budgets they can, because it is also part of keeping people subscribed to to the service.
AA market.
Yeah, alongside selling it fully, you've got this extra place to put it for more revenue that really helps those developers, because those development studios have to be money-making companies. Like Ninja Theory does a lot of stuff outside of just making games with their studio in the motion capture stuff, now the AI stuff, to make money every year, because they have to show the company that, hey, we are earning you at least something and not just being a drain for a very long time. And that's every company. Every company wants at least one or two live service things to really pop off to help pay for everything else.
And they do. They do pay for other things.
But an online poll doesn't mean anything. It doesn't. The actual market is mostly people playing live service games. And the issue with that is you can't penetrate that unless you jump into our next story. And even then, they were like, we don't really want to do this. And we'll talk about why.
To be honest, if you only look at what the actual market wants, it's
really hard.
Guys.
Yeah.
It's mobile game.
And they want microtransaction gotcha hell that they can buy cute little outfits.
And now you see why us graybeards have this crisis we do.
Yeah.
Because we refuse to let go of the steering wheel because we're in the driver's seat.
And we live off anecdotal evidence. Us and everyone we know, we want these games. So that must be it. And it's like, no, we're 4% of the market probably.
Never mind that the PlayStation 5 is no longer outselling the PS4. It's actually less. Never mind that the console market, and again, people have been saying it's stagnating, it's declining, it hasn't grown in decades, but the player base has, MAUs have, the money has. Anyways, we've talked about that a lot. Let us move on to the next and a much more dour topic. This first started off. Yeah, fair enough. This first started off a couple days ago with news that a small development group in Seattle were completely laid off, and they worked on Marvel Rivals, the NetEase's game, of course. And this started off this discussion where it's like, holy crap, they made one of the most successful games of the last
And people thought it was the whole dev team, but the main dev team is in China. This was a upwards of like around 6-man support team who did a lot of work on the game, but and it's come out that this is kind of the start, according to Stephen Totillo and Jason Schreier, of NetEase just pulling out of everywhere globally.
Let me quickly read some of the article, but yeah, when people thought this might be all, it was not. So really quick. So a few years after announcing certain acquisitions of nearly 20 Western and Japanese game studios that are specifically designed to make big budget video games, the giant that is NetEase, the Chinese giant, is now pulling back. And it's pulling back by a lot. They are apparently actively shopping around more of its non-Chinese studios, many of the same ones that it literally announced just the last few years. And they're shopping them off to other places. And it's something like more than a dozen studios.
There's like a 20-ish total, but I've got a list there. They bought Quantic Dream, the dipshit David Cage's studio, Grasshopper, Nagoshi Studio, which is the guy who had left the Like a Dragon studio to start up. Pincool, GB Track 50, Studio Flare, Jackalyptic Games, who are working on a Warhammer MMO, Anchor Point Studios, T-0 Entertainment, Rebel Wolves, who just showed off their Blood of the Dawnwalker, or the Blood of Dawnwalker game. The Witcher, that's them.
Wow.
And Skybox Labs, who are a big part of working on Halo Infinite, along with a whole bunch of other little teams and stuff. It's really, really sucks, and is like the new Embracer, essentially.
And Dream Spark Studios, or Dream Jar.
Jar Sparks was already gone. Yeah.
No, it's still part of the thing, right? Like it's
I thought they were gone.
Already gone.
Yeah, they have already cut out multiple studios before this.
That's crazy. But essentially, it's their plan to divest a majority of its overseas team, leading to potential closure of more than a dozen games if they can't secure new post-NetEase funding. It just
could this
really
be and we don't have to get all crazy political about it, but could this be because of the geopolitical?
Definitely a part of it. You would have to think. Yeah.
Definitely part of it.
Yeah. They're basically picking up stakes and going home because they don't want to have anything to be able to have used against them later for any reason.
Yeah.
The reason why I would say it might not be as big of a part is because in terms of the administrations in the States and their handling of China, not too much has changed in that aspect, right? It feels like Canadian studios that are like, hey, we're pulling out of America, a little more understandable and definitely geopolitical related, right?
Yeah, but one of the things we saw in this studio or in this story was they have to give a monumental amount of money to Marvel and Disney for this IP, and they almost canceled Marvel Rivals, but they didn't, because they eventually, in the long run, they were like, okay, it'll probably make enough money, and it's making hand over fist, but they got to hand away a lot of it.
Without the Marvel IP, this game, I don't want to say take away, but like it's nowhere near.
It would have been. I mean, that was Concord's issue. Yeah,
absolutely. It's the Marvel IP that's making that.
It's why they stuck with it.
Overwatch literally looked at this and went, okay, writes notes down, right, and then copies everything that they're doing in the hopes that hey, when you guys inevitably implode, we'll be here to pick up.
Well, because this game was just copied liberally from Overwatch in so many ways. They're like, yeah, fine, whatever. We'll take these ideas people like, but like Marvel Rivals
or bouncing out the window
is super successful, yet still for this company is in a situation where they're kind of like not thrilled about because you're making a ton of money. That's why you did it, but it still hurts when you have to hand out such big royalty checks. I would imagine.
I know a lot of people online are making this out to be like, oh, you can't trust any Chinese companies and blah, blah, blah. It's not, I don't think it's just like a Chinese thing. I mean, we saw what happened with Embracer, right? They
pretty much pulled we still have money for this Embracer. They're just like, we spent a lot. We don't think we're going to make it back now. And so we're just going to cutthroat, get rid of all of it, essentially. Whereas Embracer just fell apart.
It's not a Chinese thing. It's a business thing. Like, I will tell you, and I was saying this on my show today, like in the business that I work in, we also use managed service providers, right? Which are basically companies, you work in tech, you know what I'm talking about. Companies that come in, they basically handle all of your tech aspects, right? Big projects, small projects, right? So HP used to be a managed service provider. Dell, all these other companies are managed service providers to other companies, right? They'll walk in and they'll say, "Oh, you have a managed service provider. Oh, I wonder how much your rate is per year. I bet you we can do better." And then they will bleed from the stone that is their own budget in order to get the business, right? Knowing that once they get in, year 1, year 2, you got top tier talent. They're basically making no money off of you because hey, they had to earn your business. Year 3, year 4, now they bring in the lower skilled laborers, the lower skilled talent. Now they take everything in-house. Now you can't find a resource in America all the resources come overseas because the cost of living is less. It's business tactics, right? And of
Yes.
course, that also leads to degradation in quality because you're probably used to the high level of quality because you signed the contract a year, 2 years ago, and now they're giving you great service.
Cutting
And then
corners.
a year, 2 years later, they start cutting corners because they can't sustain that. It's the way that they were able to get that contract by lowballing their competitors. That's what's happening here, right? They're taking their ball and going back to China because if they don't, it costs way too much to continue to sustain this in the world with where you got to pay Disney what you got to pay Disney. It is what it is.
Yeah. And in a world where the future is relatively uncertain in a lot of ways, especially working with overseas multi-international corps, right? There's a reason it's not just targeted to America. It's also Japan too, right? There are major investments in non-Chinese areas. They're pulling them all back. Now, do we think that other publishers or things might try and pick up some of the pieces here?
I mean, maybe, but it's also just still in a situation where most people are not looking to do heavy investments right now.
Yeah, which we talked about earlier in the show, right? This very show itself. Why make an investment which A, might be risky, uncertain, and B, might not make the return a different investment would? Right?
Exactly. Yep. And all of this like hampers on the side on the fact that also there's that Disney with their hands open waiting for their return, right? And we've seen the leaks unfortunately with Insomniac that tells you how much of a VIG they need.
That PS5 bundle, holy crap.
Yeah, it's monstrous. So it makes sense to me. It's not cool, we might be a little bit callous and talking about people losing their jobs.
Oh, it's super callous, but it's just reality, right? Like,
yeah, it's business. It sucks, but that's just the way it is.
Yeah, you can't change the way business works, and I like it, but we're stuck in this system.
One thing I hate about online discourse,
change it by making incentives to keep it, but that requires the body politic to think in that way, and that's not what they're doing.
And that's why I still, no matter what people say about Phil and his team, blah, 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 corporate this, blah, blah, I still like the fact that you have someone at the top who's been through the gauntlet. You know what I mean? Who isn't just a CEO of some furniture company now ahead of Ford, right? Like it's someone else, who's been there, who has a personal stake in the matter either way. But what I was going to say was one thing I really dislike about online discourse, especially in really sensitive topics like this, though they're not really that sensitive. I mean, it's life. Is a lot of times people will just be like, oh, that's bad. Oh, that sucks. Oh, I hate this. Right? And the moment someone starts talking about like, okay, well, let's dive into the reasons of why certain things are happening. It's, oh, you're just defending this company. No, you want to understand the whys. Because here's the kicker, guys. Here's the truth. People don't just do things for no reason. People don't go, oh, I'm evil. Let me kick this person while they're down. That's not how life works.
They're not stupid. They're not incompetent, right? By and large, anyone who's sitting there criticizing them will never see the amount of money they make in a year. They will never see it. So I like you want to understand it rather than
it's important, especially if you want to actively fight against it. If you want to be a voice where it's like, how do we prevent this from happening or lessen it from happening? You need to know why.
Yeah.
But that's a little too much nuance for certain people. So
it's reductive to just go, oh yeah, they suck, or oh they're they're doing it for a reason. Is there a reason good? Is there a reason bad? Let's pick it apart and see. I wholeheartedly agree with you.
And also that applies to essentially everything. By the way, even like let's say for example a TV show being made that's adapted by a certain book that's really popular, and they make changes, and you're like, oh, why are they doing this? They suck. It's like, oh, let's break down the reasons. Anyways, side tangent. Yeah, I mean, this is
logical, sir. That doesn't go over well. Stop it.
This is a continuation of things. That being said, this might be knock on wood, but this year has been relatively better in terms of mass industry layoffs. I mean, of course, we'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah, it's been a lot better for the mass layoffs. There's still been plenty, but the overhiring during the COVID bubble definitely has slowed down on the other side now of firing everyone instead of actually, finding work for them. But that's it. That's it for the news. I took out the last one because Kay's got about an hour left.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah. We've been talking for a while. Holy crap! And there's questions too. Oh man.
Yeah, I know. So that's why it is now time and make sure you go into buzzin.live for the buzzer and get the game code in there. It's time for Name a Game.
There it is. I'm not
And
gonna
look, I
lie.
actually brought us right into Name a Game for once, which I just had to completely rebuild while you guys were talking because OBS broke.
Oof! Ouch.
Nope, I hit the wrong thing. Here you go.
That is like,
All right, the category for this week is not what it says on the screen because I have forgot to change that. It wasn't supposed to be showing.
I'm not looking at it anyway.
The category is games that I reviewed.
Oh dang!
Yeah, so you
There's a
got,
massive.
yeah, you got 320, 307 or something. I forget. Let me look. I want to look real quick.
Okay, all right.
It's
I'll be here a while.
so 312. I've done 312 reviews. It'll be 313 after next week.
You know what? I have no excuse if I lose this anymore. Usually when I'm on for those guys, right? My excuse is, listen, I don't play this every week. I'm not hardwired to think this way, right? But neither do you. All right, let's go. This is.
All right. So games, it'll be the first to three.
No. Let's go.
First to three. I've got 10 total.
Are you gonna post it in the chat as well?
I mean, I could. It just adds more, but I'll be nice.
I don't have the stream open.
None of them are crazy, but here you go. Number one.
Okay.
And I will go to desktop audio for the buzzer. Number one is boop, boop, boop. Potential of downpour dose. Fake Nick.
You did this because I'm here, right? You got to give me the low hanging fruit. Risk of Rain 2.
Correct?
Oh my god! I should have got that. I knew Rain 2, but
Yeah, that was easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
that's super easy.
They're not always super hard. It's just Nick and John are really dumb.
Wait, are we in the right
He
stuff?
gets a false sense of security, and then he drops the hammer on us. So
I didn't hear a case on to buzz.
Yeah,
yeah,
buzz.
I clicked the buzz, but I didn't hear it myself.
Yeah, I heard it.
Hmm.
It might be whatever
do
you
you guys-
guys have Edge set to, but it came through on
Do you see
stream.
me? Do you see me in the buzz thingy?
Yep, I see Soul and Faux Nick.
Okay, we're good.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, we're good then. Okay.
All right. Number two, as I jump around 8 million things again, like always, is Ascend, child of no cell service.
God damn it, I know this.
Soul.
Rise, Son of Rome.
Correct.
Oh yeah. Rise. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh, that was a retro review, right? That you did?
Yes. Yep. No score. The retro reviews are fun because you don't have to do a score, which is the
feel like
most
I
annoying
might
part of any review.
Risk of Rain 2 is one of your earlier reviews, I'm pretty sure.
I think so.
Way back.
Yep. All right. Clear the buzzers. Get everything in. The next one tied at one is The Drowning Municipality. Soul.
The Underwater City.
Incorrect.
Damn
Okay,
it.
Asante,
I
do
knew
you
I
want
got
to
a word
steal?
wrong.
Starting the timer now. 9, 8,
Ugh.
7,
I
6,
know what this is. too.
I was
5,
thinking.
4.
Yes.
Correct. I'll give it to you even though you didn't buzz. It was your
I'm
turn.
sorry.
Oh, no, you were on the timer anyways. It's fine.
There you go. My bad.
I clicked too quick. I knew it wasn't underwater, but I had to get
This
Yeah, it was
game-
like, yeah, that was the port, the thing that was another game that became a game, right? I remember.
Yes, it was by those guys that.
It was the Sherlock Holmes guys doing the Lovecraftian detective story. It was really fun. Now they're remastering it, I think, because they need money. All right, the next one is 3 words in total. Bob Odenkirk John Wick movie liberates the planet.
Flip.
So
Oh my god! I
Got
know
it.
the movie.
Easy money. Speaking of 2022, games are fantastic. This came out January that year. Nobody saves the world.
correct. Tied at 2.
He's gonna beat me on this one. I know.
Wait,
he is.
oops, I gave the point to
All
Kay.
right, all right. I'm
I
feeling
can't
it.
remember the last time a name a game had so many correct answers.
Whew. All right. Okay. Well, see, we actually play games, so.
You might not have played this one. Put it here, redo the buzzer. God, there's so many things to click.
Yeah.
Best Jesus Tripped, bestest version.
What the hell? Crap.
Soul.
Godfall. Definitive edition.
Incorrect.
Oh no! I knew it.
Okay, Asante, you've got one guess. You got 3 seconds. 3, 2,
No.
1.
I don't.
Godfall
I know
Ultimate Edition.
Ultimate! I knew it!
Oh man, oh man.
I actually really wanted to play this. I've been waiting for it to come to Game
It's
Pass.
all right. It's not bad.
Jesus Trip.
Yeah.
Jesus Trip? What are you talking about? Oh,
I'm thinking of Kanye when he says that, but
well done, sir. That was good. That was
Thank you.
very-
Next up is Not Nice, Unalive, The Gambit. 4 words. Soul.
fudge. I don't know the subtitles.
Just tell me what you think the end is then.
I'm gonna give it to Asante if I say it.
All right.
Wait, give me 5
I'm
seconds.
saying if you know the beginning, I'm starting the timer now. Just tell me what you think the end is. 3, 2, 1.
Gamble.
No. Okay, Asante, you got 3 seconds to steal.
I got
3.
no idea.
Evil Dead,
No
the
idea.
game.
The game? Are you kidding?
No.
The Gambit is the game.
I knew it was Evil Dead right away, right? That's not alive.
Yeah,
Murder.
not nice. Yeah, not nice. Yeah. The game is the Gambit.
Oh my god.
Yep.
I'm thinking The Risk.
Mm.
I think you
Yeah.
think, Jesse, by saying we had too many correct answers.
I know. Gentlemen, what is blinding thought, forever? Starting the timer. 10, 9,
Oh my
8,
God. My
7,
God. This game.
6, 5, 4, 3,
What's happening? I
2,
know this.
1. Chinese solo developer? Bright Memory Infinite.
Oh, god damn.
Yeah.
Nope, it's too late.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, that one was easy too. I 100% knew that. Dang it.
Bright Memory Infinite.
All right. Everything's set. Get it up here. Boopity boop. All right, gentlemen. Maybe for the win eventually. What is Acquired Swine Evenings? Starting the timer. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3,
Something
2,
big?
1,
Pork
0.
something? Pork night?
Gotham Knights. Gotham Knights.
Awesome?
Oh,
Gotham.
no, that one, no.
would
No,
never-
no.
No, it works fine.
Not unless I wrote it down, did like a...
Mm-mm.
I only got 2 more.
Gotham.
We might not have a winner.
Oh my god. Okay.
Chat got it.
yes.
Barry Donnellan in chat got it. So it works. As long as one person in chat gets it, I know it works.
You've had it.
Gentlemen, protect the newbie. Small indie. Starting the timer.
Newbie? Protect the newbie. Protect the newbie.
5, 4.
I don't know. This is
So-
really wrong. I know it is, but save the rookie.
Nope. You can do free guess. Okay, Asante. 3,
I feel like I
2,
know this, but I don't know this.
1.
Save the. I don't know.
Defend the rook.
I don't know.
Yeah, I've done a lot of
Like
reviews.
chess game? Like,
Yeah, it was a roguelike chessy type game.
Yeah.
oh, I know what it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the last one. You guys better get it. Scrounger,
yeah.
Intruder, Daredevil, Hermit, Murderer, Travel, Burglar, :2, Ticker of Cleaning the House, Nah, Invoice.
What do the dots mean? That is one word?
Scrounger, Intruder, Daredevil, Hermit, Murderer, Traveler, Burglar. Not Burger, Burglar.
Okay.
Ticker of Cleaning the House, Nah, Invoice. I'll give you time on this one.
Oh.
I thought it was kind of be obvious what it is.
Oh my god. What the hell is this game called? Blah 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 blah. Oh my god. You jinxed us, Jesse. You messed with our brains. This shouldn't be hard.
Ticker of cleaning the house.
Oh, it's an acronym.
Oh, hold on.
I shouldn't
Got a
have
buzz.
said that. I shouldn't have said that.
There's nothing
No
hard about
way.
this one. This one's as easy as it gets. It is exactly what you would think it is with all those dots in it. You got all the time you need because it's the only one left. Okay, Asante.
Stalker 2.
Whole name.
Stalker 2. God, something of Chernobyl.
3
Oh my
seconds.
God.
3 seconds. Jesse. Jesse.
Stalker 2. Heart of Chernobyl.
Two.
Never mind.
Timer's up.
Damn.
What is the full? Do you say the whole name?
He did.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
too
So
late. Go ahead.
no, I was literally counting it down.
You know what? You know what, Asante? I think we should have a truce. It's a tie, and both.
No, I hadn't counted him out yet. The timer was still going.
People.
I just hadn't been saying it.
Oh, was it?
K Asante wins.
Okay.
So it was Stalker 2, which every word in Stalker, the Stalker spells out a bunch of words. Yeah.
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 And then Ticker, Heart of Cleaning the House, Chore, Nah, No, Invoice, Bill. There you go.
Okay. Honestly, the like sound ones throw me off a lot. Like I'm not thinking that way at all.
Yes. Well, I got it the moment you said with all those dots there. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
We got a super chat from Mohammed Sherez in the chat. 2 missing part-timers. Hello, Aarsal, K, and Jesse. Hello, executive producer Mohammed Sherez.
I will only be referred to as Faux Nick today.
Handsome Nick.
I'll take Bearded John.
Because we got Bearded John and we got Handsome Nick.
What you doing there? Don't do that.
If it annoys Nick, it's worth doing.
That was fun. That was relatively. And I think if Jesse didn't like cast a curse on us, we would have ended it earlier.
Hey, I started out strong. Hey, it is what it is.
And I did the so do the forum questions. It's all there. You can just go in that order, Aarsal.
Yep. Okay, let's do it.
Copy on for you. But you first, you got to say what are we doing and why.
So now you reach part of the show after the game where we take questions from our lovely community on our forums and on a specific sheet that Jessica links from our patron members. As everyone watching knows, patron members are what keeps us doing the fun, cool stuff like this, right? Otherwise, it's just so crushingly boring news pieces again and again and again. I'd say soul crushing. I don't really do it much, which is why I consider it soul crushing. But yeah, that would be all we did. That would be very lame. But we can do fun things like this and the reviews we do and the hangouts and the headlines and the whatever the heck it is because of patrons like you guys. And the big perk you guys get is you get to ask us questions and we answer every single one, even if it's like 5 pages.
And it's not even a question. It's just a statement.
Just a statement. In fact, half of them are just statements, I think, half the time. But we don't have too many today, so we're going to quickly go through them. The first one is from Hytham G. Yeah, I'm not doing the... Actually, I kind of just did.
Please don't. It's a... Anyways.
Subject... Hey, wow, this is actually pretty short for Hytham. Thanks, man, for keeping it
He had
short.
a different thing up and he had to change it because he was asking Nick something.
Okay, good. Subject, Halo TV series. Since the Halo TV series is coming back, since Netflix bought the rights to the Halo TV series, are they going to continue the series season 3 and whatever goes on with the franchise moving forward? Really quick, so I actually wanted to mention this. Halo, the series, is coming to Netflix March 1st.
In select markets.
But Canada and America, for sure, which are the big ones. Probably UK too, most likely. Does that mean it's coming back?
No.
Does that mean it might?
If it does, amazing.
Maybe.
If all of you wonderful people go out there and go, screw it, we love this, and everyone watches it like crazy, they might make it.
I will never subscribe to Netflix again, so no.
Which would be crazy.
I do think it's going to find a pretty good audience on Netflix because it is...
We love Halo! Woo! This was them when it got canceled.
Of course.
No.
Because it is...
No, this is them. When they were terrified. This is a fall of Reach. Halo's being canceled.
Of course. I do think it's a very easy show to watch. It resonates with a lot of the older audiences, right? I think it can find a decent audience on Netflix. Will it be enough for it to come back? Probably not.
Yeah.
I will swear by season 2. Season 1 was dog water. We all know it. Season 2 was good, but people were so disenfranchised by it that it had lost most of its audience. Hopefully, this gives people the chance. People, if you even heard about this thing with being somewhat trashy, skip to season 2. It's there on Netflix.
Based on
skip to season 2. You will probably like it.
Based on how many subs Paramount has, it did fine in season 2. It was just Paramount was looking to be bought, and so they were desperate to cut costs.
In a bad place. It's a very high budget show. That being said, I don't think officially the last word we have in the show is that they're still looking to try and get season 3 made.
Once it's been this long, it's really hard to get people back.
Yeah, but that being said, Netflix has done it before, right? You have Cobra Kai that went from YouTube Red to Netflix, so it became an 8-season mess. You have The Expanse with Amazon, right? Like it's not, and honestly, sci-fi, Netflix is kind of lacking there. Apple TV just kind of sucked
Mm.
up all the sci-fi TV.
Netflix does just like they get things like this that were from other things. They show it, and it's just a deal to get more content on there.
Also, for anyone watching, season 1 still has some pretty good action that's worth watching.
Yeah, season 1 had an interesting start that then you could really tell when things got hit by COVID.
Just
stopped for a while. Yeah.
B plot, and yes, a season. There are like multiple shows that came out around that time, which were heavy COVID casualties.
Yeah.
It was one of them.
See, I would say the reason why I advocate for season 2 is because I liked both seasons, but I'm the kind of viewer that can watch Elseworld stories and just keep them where they are.
Yes.
Oh yeah, this was interesting, and just keep it there.
Yes.
If you are a diehard, I love my Halo, and you don't mess with my Halo and all of that, skip season 1.
Yeah.
Go to season 2.
If you're
You will actually like season 2 if you're a diehard Halo fan, because they kind of came back to what you like, right? I like both of them. But some people say I was in the show. That's slander. So that's
if you're the kind of maniac like Nick, that's like just put the first game into a movie. It's like no, that's for the games. Movie stories were bad. Yeah, like and the action's really expensive and it gets boring after a while. Like the games didn't actually have good stories. They had good enough for the game.
I maintain that Halo the series has some of the best action, especially hand-to-hand combat action in TV. Period. Because TV is not known for good, expensive, good-looking action. Unless it's like a kung fu show, like Into the Badlands.
Or
Sci-fi-wise, Daredevil, yes. Sci-fi-wise, this is by far the best combat action I've seen. You know? It's high budget, it's good, it's worth the watch. It's coming March 1st on Netflix. If you're even marginally interested, give it a shot.
Except for it's Netflix. No one should have Netflix anymore. It's terrible and overpriced.
I don't have Netflix anymore myself, but that's neither here nor there. Since you guys were putting in counters to great TV shows that have it, The Warriors, a show that was literally made from the writings of Bruce Lee, one of the greatest hand-to-hand combat TV shows.
Yes, and canceled.
Well, it got 3 seasons, right, or 4?
There is more to Hytham's question, by the way.
Yes, I'm about to read it. Okay, P.S. Let's say if Halo does get an anime adaptation, like Castlevania level adaptation of a show, imagine it's called Red vs. Blue Timeline as far as the source material and things to the Halo series, and gets a good adaptation without it being crappy and such. He has no punctuation.
That was it. He just said, let's say.
Right. Dude, no one's going to say no to Halo anime. Sure, give it a shot, right? I like Legends, personally.
Yeah, me too. It was really good.
But the Castlevania guys are busy, though. I'm fairly certain they're still working on Assassin's Creed. Well, it was announced like years ago, which we haven't seen. And I think Devil May Cry, is it the same guys doing it? I'm not sure. Moving on. Travis Norris, also known as Jesse Brother. Subject: Slow Horses is great and 2025 gets replaced. Happy podcast 251, Jess, Aarsal, and Captain Keys Asante. Oh, there he is. Hey, I get it, Key Asante. Aarsal, congratulations on Canada's win. Hell yeah. Oh, man, I screamed so hard last night watching that.
A couple nights ago.
But that was yesterday night, wasn't it?
No.
It was a couple nights ago. You're right. You're right. Either way. Listen, there's a lot riding on that game, not for America, but for Canada and our nationalism and our pride.
Most
it was a really big deal for us.
You actually got a few million Americans to watch, which is way more than you normally get for the best sport.
Yeah, that's true. And people actually tried, which is a nice part. You're watching All-Star games.
Oh, it was the best All-Star. So for people who don't know, instead of doing a terrible All-Star game where there's like 70 goals because no one wants to get hurt, they did a 4 nations tournament where 4 countries had NHL players represent each country, and they did a round robin tournament. The final ended up being a rematch of Canada and the US, where the US had won the first match, and then the final went into overtime where Canada was able to win.
It was so sick. It was straight up vibes of 2010 Olympics, which is a big moment for us too, by the way. But anyways, can't believe it's come to this, but I'm happy my country lost. And sir, I've already watched the first season of Slow Horses after being urged to by yourself and the often and once again part-timer John. And you were both right that it's great and both wrong that it takes a while to get going, as I was pulled in right from the start. It's not all good news, though, as my most anticipated game of 2025 replaced has finally been delayed. To which I have 2 things to say. Slava Ukraini and F.U. Putin. I guess these are essentially the same thing. I don't usually swear that much, so I kind of... But it is what it is, to steal the most useless platitude that John loves to say, even though it has 0 meaning. My question for you guys is this. What is the most overused platitude in your opinions?
It is what it is.
That's the end of the show.
To be honest, it's fine. I use it way too much, and it's definitely. Are you not honest half the time? Why are you saying to be honest now?
Again, which is what people say all the time.
Oh,
Again,
God.
before they say something that they didn't say again, they're
Yes,
saying it
yes,
again.
yes. Okay,
Read
another
this all
question
day.
from oh god, even that's one from 99 Rukin. Hello everyone. With the AI chip Muse, do you think it could help developers better use in-house engines for new/remake games instead of using outsourced engines like Unreal?
No,
Um,
absolutely not.
I don't think that's its primary purpose.
No, so like people have actually gone over the paper because the big thing with Muse was it's this thing that they put a paper out on for how it works. It's open source. Hey, you want to use it? Even like people who know it are like not 100% sure what the use case would actually be for this because who knows?
I mean,
you can't actually do any of this right now. So the use cases are like theoretical as much as anything.
And 9 Rukin, we talked about this for like 30 minutes earlier. Though what's funny is I never, well, I mean, I caught this, but never really brought it up. The title of the AI chip, right? Not AI chip, sorry. The title of the model being Muse is on purpose. It's there to kind of imply that it's here to help you with ideas.
Do the whole
help you with
question
inspiration.
because it'll answer even more.
Yes, and continuing the question, and first question of 3. Also, we know Sega making a super game that we know nothing about, but we do know they're partnered with Microsoft. Is it possible that Sega Super Game is using Muse with Azure?
No, it's not a thing yet. It does not actually exist. It was a paper put out for something they've come up with that they are working on that they want people to look at and work on as well.
They didn't release the model, did they?
I think so. It's all open source.
They have a demonstrator. Yeah, you can go play with it and all of this, but
cool.
It's all just early day theoretical research paper.
Which is what when I saw people saying like, oh, they're going to be putting out AI slop in next year. It's like, no, they're not. This doesn't generate. It's not a text box. You just write, "Give me Halo," and it gives you a Halo game. Like it's not.
There was this one comment where it's like, "Oh, I guess Project Mario is going to be AI slop." No, what makes you think that?
Because Ninja Theory was the dev behind this, essentially.
I know, but still, like that's a game we've been seeing for like 3-4 years, guys. Like
you see the actual gigantic studio they built to do real things. They want to use things as tools, is what they say. I 100% get people who don't trust them. I don't trust any company with the AI stuff to not eventually have it try and just be a way to cut costs. But still, this isn't that.
Yes. Continuing on. Also, Nanan Rukin, one last question. You know what? I'm going to throw a sneaky small question in, as I already asked the others. To the guest only, what is your dream Xbox crossover that isn't a Smash clone? This is for you, Asante.
The dream crossover Xbox crossover. Now define crossover.
I'm assuming they mean any kind of game that utilizes more than one Xbox IP.
Yeah, you got all your IP in there for like the classic one people think of as like a cart game. Like you've got all the Xbox IP for a big cart game.
I would not like an Xbox cart game because like they're not their IPs don't lend to that jovial kind of family fare. I would want I'd want like an FPS. Like I'd want like a multiverse kind of FPS where Doom Guy can meet Halo, can meet
even like their things. I would just want them to start using their IP as skins and more stuff.
Yeah,
sure, absolutely.
Get all your skins. They've got plenty. Get all your shit into Minecraft. Get all your shit into Call of Duty. Like just get it in there. Why not?
To bring this all back around, I know I'm a minority in it. But when it was all going down, I was like, where is my Master Cheeks? Where is it? This show is going live. I need my assless Master Chief skin today. Where is it?
They were so worried about upsetting the Halo fan base that they never did like a Doomslayer skin or a power armor in Halo. Like it just makes sense. You can do that stuff.
It does, yeah.
If Doom the Dark Ages comes and goes and I see no Mjolnir armor, that would be
See, that's one of the weird ones. There's zero multiplayer in Doom. So they're not going to do anything. Yeah, they were like, nah, we tried it. No one ever used it. So we're just doubling down on more modes in the main game. So,
you know, he says the word dream. So I'm a dream big here. Give me something like, but much better, Kingdom Hearts, but with a bunch of Xbox IP worlds. That'd be cool. Like a sprawling RPG where you go to different Xbox IP worlds and things like that. And there's a massive story and I mean,
Well, a Mass Effect style
I hope it's more
RPG.
explainable than Kingdom Hearts. Though. I'm
Oh
just saying.
yeah,
that's what I mean. Yes.
yeah. If you give me like a Halo RPG that's like Mass Effect, but then also like mixes in, I don't know, like find a way to mix in some characters or some stuff that could be cool. But also a Halo RPG would be like $500 million for what people would want.
Yeah, that would. Okay, moving on. Didact Bra 3. Hey gentlemen, great to see Captain Keys around, and really want that season 3 someday. Anyways, so we got rumors about Elder Scrolls 6. What'd you think of them? Are they even true? I personally don't think so. It's too soon and the details are too safe and predictable. What do you guys want of it? Can BGS deliver a groundbreaking game in a post-Witcher 4 and GT6 world?
So if you're wondering what the rumors are, were people, again, not speaking Spanish. So the moment Ecstasis says anything, they assume he's putting out leaks when he was, as he normally does in his videos, he was aggregating older leaks others had talked about.
And this leak is pretty old.
It's like a year old of, it's going to have ship sailing and building and all these things and take place in Hammerfell and all that stuff. Nothing new. I don't put any stock into it. It was so old and early that who knows and who cares. But as far as can they make an RPG like that? No. People hate them too much right now. They absolutely hate BGS. The game will do fine. It will just never do what something like Baldur's Gate 3 is, where it can have a ton of failures and a ton of issues, and people will overlook it. People will not overlook any issues with Bethesda.
I do hope they kind of touch base with Obsidian a little with their melee combat, first-person combat, because again, I haven't played Avowed, but every single person I've heard says the combat is
so they really fixed up their ranged combat, but that's not obviously you're not going to be shooting guns and stuff, and there weren't bows in Starfield. So if they can keep that level of elevating their gameplay and their movement that they had in Starfield, but also fix some the way things animate or the way people look or stuff, and get their procedural animations to feel better. I think that will go a long way. They're not going to do the amount of mocap that you had for Baldur's Gate 3 to make it look like that. Because Baldur's Gate 3 can get around. Baldur's Gate 3 gets away with being these little tiny maps that represent gigantic regions, and they don't so the fidelity is higher, but it's because you've got, we don't know where this camp of friggin' people is, and then you walk for 3 seconds on the map and it's right there, but it's supposed to be across the map. It's supposed to be across the friggin' region. It's no, it's like 3 seconds of walking right there. But that's just the way the game is.
And this post is very accurate. They're saying, let's say, for example, all those crazy guys saying, they got to get rid of creation engine, right? If a BGS game releases and it doesn't have the staples you expect, like being able to stack 100 bread in a room, it will be lambasted to hell and back.
That is one of the things that got so ignored in Starfield is the physics. The physics engine of Starfield is one of the best I've ever seen. There's nothing even close. You see those videos of someone stacking 30,000 potatoes in a room, and then they open the door and they all fall perfectly and it runs perfectly.
Yes. Yeah, Kate, you were saying
that is the criticism, by the way. That's the criticism that people were giving Avowed, right? Every bit of criticism I hear for Avowed is basically you're that is hilarious.
That's crazy.
You're basically saying I hate Unreal Engine without saying I hate Unreal Engine when you make a criticism of Avowed, because every bit of criticism, I've heard some, but most of the criticism I've heard, earnest criticism, have been the lack of physics, the lack of this, the lack of that. They definitely, and this is specifically Avowed, there's no spoilers here, they did put some physics systems in place.
You get a ragdoll when you kill something, essentially.
Or for example, being able to walk over water by putting on an ice shield, stuff like that.
That's right. That's super cool. Elements work the way elements should in certain ways, but this is Unreal Engine. It's not built for that. It's not fundamentally able to do that. If you do want that, guess what you want? The creation engine. And y'all kept complaining about that one when they released it. You know what I mean? So yes, that is just a fundamental, a misunderstanding of what an engine is versus what the gameplay. Anyone complaining about that is just complaining at the fact that they used Unreal Engine to make a open world.
And CryEngine was able to do pretty well with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 and remembering stuff and being good at open world. But it still also struggles in a ton of other areas, but people don't care because it does the other things they like, even though the combat's not good.
About that point of it remembering things, I'm running through Avowed. I'm on rooftops, as I like to be a rooftop guy. There are cloth I guess decorations strewn across villages. You can
Yeah.
walk across them, and if you happen to walk across the cloth, it rips because your body is heavy at some point, and then that ripped cloth stays ripped for like I think the entire length of the damn game. I come back,
Wow.
it's still ripped like 3 hours later.
Mhm.
It happens.
No road
For the
activities.
idea that, yeah, right. They say, "Oh, there's no." I see a bustling city all the time.
Yes.
Like I do something, it stays done.
Yeah.
I kill a body or something happens, it
Mhm.
stays dead. Like and
Yeah.
it stays there, and I can
Yeah.
leave and come back, and it's still there like that. Right? I steal something, people will go, "Well, it's bold of you to be taking such things off dead bodies. Hey, you can do that if you want." Right? They will talk to you and
Yes.
speak about the stuff
Yes.
you do. So yes, I think people are just maybe they're not playing the game, or maybe
Or they're
not
rushing
seeing
through it, right? They're. I
No,
can't give my
most
opinion
people
as
haven't
soon as
played
I
it
can.
and are complaining. Like they just haven't actually played it.
One of the leaks talks about like ships, like physical like ships, but the same way you build like a
Yeah.
Starfield ship. That'd be super cool.
Mhm.
Like playing a game where
Yeah.
essentially you're a pirate. That'd be really cool.
Yeah. Super chat.
Quick super chat by Mohammed Sharez. Watch will complain
Mhm.
to the high heavens if Bethesda moves to UE5 and loses all the interactivity, uniqueness, appreciation.
Yeah, they would never do it. Like so much of their building up was making Creation Engine and just making it better. It powers their games work because of that engine, and there are areas where they can improve. Like I think the physics, the material work. Like the environments and the lighting is some of the best that's out there. They just need more work on animation stuff to make people happier. Though their procedural animations and how you used to have to be, okay, this character has to now walk directly here to be able to sit in a chair because we only have the animation work for them to do this very still. You get the classic jank that people are used to. So like constantly tightening that up, especially because you're going to have a smaller overall available play space scope in Elder Scrolls 6 compared to Starfield, which was about being in space in this type of thing. It is just going to be a different game, but it's still also going to have, you walk up to an area, here's a cave, I'm loading into that cave. It's going to have that because that's the way the engine works.
I think it's going to be lesser, though. At least the complaints will be lesser, just because Elder Scrolls in general is more open.
I fast traveled 700 times by the time I beat Avowed. Avowed is nonstop fast travel.
A lot of fast traveling.
And it doesn't hurt. Every game I play is nonstop fast traveling. When you do the demo for friggin' Monster Hunter Wilds, it's nonstop fast traveling.
You know what's a lot of fast traveling? Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, which, even though it's not a clear loading screen, it's clearly a loading screen. Like, come on, guys. Like,
yeah.
Most games have fast traveling because it's boring to not fast travel.
Yes.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah.
Like, even like that, Kingdom Come was like, oh, if you fast travel, you're not going to get the experience riding your horse. I don't give a crap, guys. I can't say anything. It's pitch black. I'm going to go fast travel. But anyways, next question by Skedaddle. It's been Xbox royalty on the podcast lately. Last week we had Phil Spencer, and this week Captain Keys. Warm welcome, K. Asante. Hey, Aarsal and Jesse. What are your hopes and predictions for the ID at Xbox Showcase on Monday? Based on the list of confirmed developers, what can we surmise about what might be revealed? I am not Nick, so I'm not going to read out the list of
somebody if you go to discord.gg/xboxera and you go into the I forget what thread it is, but Bale Sun, who's a member of the community, pretty much listed out everything that's going to be shown.
Yes,
because it's not hidden like a lot of stuff there. People have said we're here to talk about this. Like we're also going to get a I don't even know that they're in this list, but we're getting a Liza P trailer for Overture. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so they did they tweeted out at IGN new Overture, Liza P Overture DLC trailer at the ID at Xbox show. Also, Monday starting at 11:45 a.m. So no morning gaming stream or anything. We're doing the Annapurna interactive showcase, which everyone there quit. So this is more a Pop Agenda showcase because Pop Agenda, who are very nice, took over. So I would surmise, since they're the ones that took over a few months ago, that it's a lot of stuff that they've continued work on that the Annapurna's got coming. So we'll be doing that for half an hour, hanging out, shooting the shit as we wait for the ID at Xbox show at 1 p.m. Eastern. So we'll be going for a few hours on Monday. Should be fun.
It'll have fun games. That being said, don't go into the show expecting like all Liza P level games.
No, it's ID at Xbox shows are independent games. Like they are independent developers, which is why it's weird that Neo is published game is there.
Like if you're the kind of person who doesn't play 2D games, don't watch the show. Don't watch the show. if you're the kind of person who enjoys all games of all type, watch
Indie game heavy. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. So the last few couple questions left.
On here, then you've got the Google form, which only has 2.
Yeah. Hello, Aarsal, K, Asante, and Jesse. It's that often we get different voices on the podcast, so I'm going to take advantage of this to ask a hard question and get your views on subjects and issues in gaming. So not a few outlets and video essays are bemoaning the decline of AAA gaming, blaming, amongst other things, inflating budgets, longer development time, more often than not a rush to complete the game by a due date, chasing trends that are often out of date even before midway in development, the need to monetize the game before launch, beyond launch through DLC, add-ons, and micropayments, etc., among other things. I'd be interested in your thoughts on the state of AAA gaming and what can be and needs to be done to fix it, if indeed it can be fixed.
Scope. Stop scope creep and stop wasting time with just wasting the work you've done. That is the main thing we always hear. The budgets and everything have risen horrendously due to mismanagement. That is the main thing you just see all the time from people who work in the industry on social media. They're like, no, it's not graphical fidelity, because we were already, like you can see in remasters, they were already always making things way prettier than modern tech could actually show it. Like you remaster some of those old Nintendo games, my God, they're gorgeous, even though they were going for 720p at the best. It's all proper time management and not having executives come in on a whim and throw out months of work just because they feel like it, or because, oh, I've seen this trend somewhere else, we're going to do that now. And it's like, no, if you have actual good leadership, like when you've got an RGG and they can like, hey, we built this, we spent years building this one big game, we've got all these assets, we're going to reuse a bunch, make a few more, and we're going to put out 2 or 3 more games based around all that work. Like smart thinking for bigger titles, because indie games have to do that already. They don't have the budget, they don't have the time, they don't have the manpower to make up for mistakes. So they have to properly spec and scope things, and that is everything. And like when we saw in the Insomniac leak, we want to make Wolverine look even better than Hellblade. Like, no, Hellblade is this really small thing that still took a long time. You're making something infinitely bigger in scope, like 50 times over. You don't go for that fidelity.
Example. Oh, why aren't there massive boss fights in Hellblade? First off, narratively, did you play the game? Second off, that obviously massively increases the scope for something like that, which was not the case. I want to say yes, right?
I would agree wholeheartedly. Everything, Jesse, absolutely, 100%. Scope creep. Follow Nintendo's mode. You want to?
They are lucky.
Stop this being a problem? Follow Nintendo's mode. Keep budgets focused. Let creatives be creative, but keep budgets tight, right? Let the AA and single A space flourish, and then every once in a while you drop a AAA. Train your consumers to expect more double and single A's.
And don't push graphical fidelity as everything, because Nintendo gets away with being a 1080p company.
They trained people to be to expect 4K fidelity, and now they're getting diminishing returns. Now you have to train them to unthink. Oh, 1080p makes you a better gamer. That was the slippery slope they started. They need to undo that work.
I do think part of it is not on them. Part of it is on gamers themselves adjusting their own expectations a little bit. You know what I mean? You can't always expect every game to be the super high budget, super high production value game, right? And when it isn't, or when a game reuses assets and isn't made in Japan, because I feel like they get a bit of an immunity there a little bit from software. When a game reuses a bunch of assets, right? People's response is, oh my God, Ubisoft is reusing all these assets. That's a good thing, guys. It's a good thing. It reduces scope. It reduces the production costs. It makes it so that they don't do work.
How many times do they need to reinvent the city of New York? You built it. Use it as many times as possible.
Wolverine should visit New York for his game.
Yes, he should.
Yes.
100% he should.
Why don't we have a Daredevil
every
game?
place that Sony already has built cities. He should visit a bunch of those places.
He should go to Tsushima too, just for the heck of it.
That's right.
Actually, that would work. It would work in his lore too.
It would work. Yes.
But like yes, like you have to be smarter, I want to say, and it's a mix of expectations from the consumer side, building expectations from the publisher side, and good management, like Jesse said. It's doable. And in terms of the dying AAA market, stuff like Game Pass, a different monetization, right? Moving on, last couple questions from It's Finn, who's been very active in chat this whole time. Category, favorite food of all time. Oh, wow, here you go. Hey there, first time doing a question. Hope your day is well. Hope your day is well too. Simple question. What's your favorite food of all time?
Fresh
Cheers.
made grape leaves and tabbouleh.
Simple question.
Yeah.
Wow. That is very difficult for me to answer because I've lived in many different countries and they all have different things that I love.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Ursula, you first.
I don't know, man. I mean, it would definitely be a desi dish just because I think we have some of the best flavoring and chicken.
Oh, like chicken tikka masala?
Yeah, chicken tikka masala is pretty
Yeah.
good. But no, it would be it would be the dish actually, which is apparently the national dish of Pakistan, which is nahari. Good nahari, which is essentially like a beef stew, but like the beef is like super like tender. It comes off really well, and it's really spicy. But good nahari, like if you're ever in Chicago, if you're in the Chicago area, and like you're in like northern western Chicago, there's a couple places there that have some of the best nahari ever, and it's good. It's got like the naan, not the naan bread, the naan, and it's just like fluffy. It pulls off your hand.
Yeah, that's like saying a Nick card. Very insulting. Don't do that. Don't do that. Yes.
Yep. But that'd be my answer.
Yeah. Okay.
ATM machine.
I'll do exactly ATM machine. SSD card.
There, that's
SSD
the nahari.
drive.
SSD drive. Oh yes.
Anyway.
Your SSD hard drive.
That's right. I'll be entry level, West African. Where I am. One of the popular West African dishes that a lot of people love, which is becoming very popular in the West as well. Jollof, Jollof. It's rice. It is rice with it's regular like jasmine rice that has a stew with it, but it is cooked through with the stew rather than on top, and it ends up giving you a very interesting flavoring of rice, and it's very popular. A lot of people know it. It is.
Yeah, I've had this.
Nigerians make it. Ghanaians make it. Yes, jollof. Look at it.
Interesting. One thing, some of the African food I've had, which obviously is a very big friggin'. Actually, I think it was specifically Ethiopian. Either way, like the chicken is. So
no, you mean just Africa, as people look at it.
bone.
One place.
In the country.
I pick up the bone and it just falls all off, and
Yes.
I'm hungry now.
Yes. There you go.
Thank you, it's Finn. I'm very hungry now. What about you, Jesse? What you trying to say?
Yeah, tabbouleh, which is the Middle Eastern like salad that you would eat with pita bread, which ours was always Syrian bread, which was the thinner. Yeah, like
That's crazy. You're not getting fatouche over that?
No.
Wow.
Tabbouleh or probably grape leaves would be my number one because my aunt grew actual grape leaves, and then we'd get the lamb meat and the rice and everything, and actual fresh made grape leaves would probably be my favorite.
You would love Michigan, by the way. Like there's so much good Mediterranean food here.
There's a lot here. It's insanely expensive now. It wasn't bad when I moved here. It's really expensive.
All I know is I go to places like I went to California, I went to LA, and I found like a highly rated Mediterranean place, and it was not that good. So like I think where you are also determines. Okay, all right. Last question from Assassin. There's some spaces in this name for some reason, their name. Hello to Bearded John, Faux Nick, and Jesse. I changed that. So Microsoft is trying to bring AI into video game development.
It's already in.
Okay then. That's 12 times they've shot themselves in the foot this year alone, right? Am I counting right? LOL. In all seriousness, I have no issue with AI being used as a tool to help with game performance or technical know-how as long as it's still maintained by human hands. I do not want it to replace the creative side of game development. Do you guys agree or disagree? Thanks for all you do. I disagree completely.
Anyone who agrees should go to jail.
Exactly. I think AI should just change to develop everything. There should be no human process at all in anything.
That's it. I'm muting his mic. But yeah, no, the AI is already everywhere in game development, which is funny when people try and say like they're going to boycott it. You just can't. But what they always talk about at Microsoft in the PR spin they give is it won't replace any creatives. You then have to hold them to that because I don't believe it for a second, because every company wants to save money wherever they can while getting the same output. When the reality we all know is AI art is shit. Every time I see it in Call of Duty now, it looks like shit.
Oh God!
Like it's bad photoshops with always messed up hands and dumb shit. Like it's not great as long as it never replaces it. But it's like friggin' it's just so annoying.
There's this balance, right? We've talked about this a lot this episode already. You can go back and watch if you haven't already, Assassin. There's a balance between people need to hold these companies to task, right? But at the same time, knee-jerk reactions without any kind of waiting or knowledge on the
Marvel Rivals one was another example. Everyone started losing their mind. Oh my God, they fired the entire team. It's like, no, just wait 2 seconds, get the actual story, and then react to the actual story. Because when you full on knee jerk, people are like, oh, anything AI related, I just get it. Like, or I was in a chat for something and somebody got a name wrong, but it was related to an AI story. It's like, oh, who cares if we get their name right? It's like, no, I mean, you don't have to be a dick about it. It's not like, oh, someone's involved in this thing. That means I can be pure shit to them without knowing anything about them as a person. It's like, they might be awful.
Play a Microsoft game again.
Like they might be an awful person. They might be all that, but you don't know. So you don't have to go to the full extreme to show people how mad you are. And that's what the internet ends up being. It's extreme versus extreme. Right. Yeah.
Just because other people are awful doesn't justify you being awful about it as well.
Yeah.
So there's that.
You can be pissed. You can say, you can go hog wild. You just don't have to be an asshole.
The stuff that's great is stuff like the Eurogamer article, which is written by someone who actually knows song mode, and they called out the BS where it's like the game preservation. No, that's not happening anytime soon. That's just corporate BS, which is 100% true, right? But they still talk about the actual product, what it is, what it might do, the fears, the hopes. Like that's what you need to do. You got to be there ready, because Jesse says this again and again, and he's 100% true. These giant corporations are not to be trusted. They're made up of people, and people individually can be capable of trust. I agree, sure. At the end of the day, what matters is the bottom line, the profit, blah, blah, blah. The moment these corporations start pushing things too much, right? You have to be there, you have to be ready. That's what you should do. Knee-jerk reactions and just dumb things, all they do is make people take you less seriously and ignore you when it matters most, is my take.
Agreed.
Yeah. There's always the want online of making sure people know that you are the most upset. It's the thing we make fun of Resetera all the time, where they can be on the wrong side of the right take. Like, yes, you have the right take, but you are on the wrong side of it still somehow.
Exactly. And that about does it. That comes just under 3 hours, right? If my clock is still correct. Just under 3 hours. And I feel like that was a pretty packed show. Like, we talked about a lot of stuff, including a bunch of stuff that was not in the news list at all. Nick, if you are listening to this, because you can,
I'm going to do a skeleton of timestamps, and then he's gonna.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. One time I finally caught him at work in friggin' England in the morning, just doing all the timestamps while like eating something. God. But thank you everyone for watching. Okay, Asante, thanks a lot for coming on, and I hope I see you this year sometime in person. Hopefully, maybe one of the events or something. I had a great time last time.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. I'm still thinking maybe June,
right?
June's the thing,
Maybe.
We did Germany. Germany might still be a thing.
You never know.
We would like to do Gamescom again if we can afford it somehow.
Yeah. I would also
thank you so much for coming on. Thank you, listeners, for staying and listening to us, even though I know we're not the usual suspects, you could say. Thanks, Jesse, for asking me to be on too. And if you really like what we do, check out our Patreon. If you want more Xbox community, personally, I think we have one of the best Xbox communities out there in our Discord. Feel free to join. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.
Do if he was here right now, he'd make a plan and he'd follow through. That's what Brian Boitano do. When Brian Boitano was in the Olympics skating for the gold, he did 2 soft pows and a triple lutz while wearing a blindfold. When Brian Boitano was in the Alps fighting grizzly bears, he used his magical fire breath and saved the maidens fair. So what would Brian Boitano do if he were here today? I'm sure he'd kick an ass or two. do. I want this feature out of me. It has stunted my vocabulary, and I just want my mom to stop fighting everyone. For Wendy, I'll be an activist too, 'cause that's what Brian Boitano would do. And what would Brian Boitano do? He'd call all the kids in town and tell them to unite for truth. That's what Brian Boitano do. When Brian Boitano traveled through time to the year 310, he fought the evil robot king and saved the human race again. And when Brian Boitano built the pyramids, he beat up Kublai Khan, 'cause Brian Boitano doesn't take shit from anybody. So let's call all the kids together and unite to stop our moms, and we'll save Terrence and Philip too, 'cause that's what Brian Boitano do. And we'll save Terrence and Philip too, 'cause that's what Brian Boitano do. That's what Brian Boitano do.